Live in studio, it's the Double Drop Down Show with Adam and Ryan.
Hey, what's up? Oh, look at our background right now. It's like all jacked up. Oh, we're good now. We're back in the studio. We're in
back
the real
in the
studio.
The real is that real? I have no idea if it's even real anymore. Everything has between the last time I was in the studio and now that I am in the studio, new equipment has been added. And it breaks reality.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a lot of new stuff, but that's good. Let's just have a little bit of green screening going on.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
Hell yeah. So, man, new year. There's a lot coming on. We have
2023. This is the first Double Drop Down 2023.
I had to do the last show solo. I think I did it
right.
solo.
Yeah, that's right. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay. You were traveling, so
I watched the entire show. I made Twitch clips out of the show.
My goodness, that's awesome.
There are Twitch clips that I actually did for the first time.
That's good. You got to try new things.
Yeah.
Like Heather was supposed to be there, but she got sick, so I had to jump in, and I was able to do it. I think
Single
it was
show.
I think
totally.
we did.
I loved it.
Chat GPT. I built a book.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, that was so good. So I have a little bit to share even today for our show. We should go over the outline at some point.
Hell yeah, we should do
that.
But
one point that I wanted to share was that you building that ebook or whatever that was, I was like, man, that is just the entrepreneurial spirit of GPT-3 that is coming out from that breeds off of things like that. And I found an amazing Reddit post that I don't know if you saw from one of those
Possibly.
AI, and what it was is like a person who is cataloging all the different like sort of corporations and little businesses and little online places that are using that open AI like chat GPT to build businesses and have different things on it.
Build businesses?
Totally.
Oh,
they use it as their API, right? Through their API.
Yeah.
And so they make it. And so this is what so today, brand new year, we're going to be talking about 2022. We're going to be looking back. We're going to be looking forward. And that is one of the things I am excited to look forward to.
Well, let's talk about that. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I have some comments on that. Because I have an addiction to Reddit.
Yeah.
If you don't know. So that, I feel like I fall right in the stupid
ours
demographic
in the chat for being addicted to Reddit. I know. So I am of course addicted to Reddit, and so is Catherine.
Wow.
Both of us. But you know what I feel like is good rather than other social media platforms being addicted to is the control that you have or the subjects that are fed to you, right? Because I feel like in other platforms like Twitter and Facebook, let's say specifically,
Fair.
You're not saying you're not like, I'm excluding these topics and only accepting in these other topics. You can't do that. But in Reddit, I can be like, I exclude all of this stuff because that is messing with my mental well-being, or that is just like not something that I want to put mind power to, and be like, only show me things like this. So if you're feeling depressed and you're like, all I want to see is like happy things and fun baby gifts and not like not safe for work WTF, subreddits, you could do that.
And just want to say that those NSFWs are exactly the ones I click first. Go down my Reddit list.
Well, of course, that's you gotta have your one profile that has your legit stuff, right?
Oh,
and then you got your other profile, your burner profile.
Shit, you already know me. Actually, I have two burners. I'm not gonna even lie, but you don't know what those two burners are.
You'll never know.
You can follow Anonymous, and I have a good insight talking about Reddit. I don't even know if this is a lead into this subject. It feels like it could be. So maybe let's just go to that one. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go through our agenda.
You haven't even done the agenda.
We need to
do the agenda.
We need to talk about that. So we're gonna start the show with a title intro. No, we already did that. All right. No, we're gonna do some 3D printing today. You have something that I was interested at because this started kind of because of 3D printing. We've been doing this as a show.
There's a 3D printer right here.
There is, and look at guess what? I actually changed the camera angle. I think this is it. You could actually see the camera, and you can switch this around. We got our nozzle there.
Perfect.
We're gonna be doing some 3D printing today. We can't not do the 3D printing. Actually,
Because I fell down a little bit of a rabbit hole of 3D printing stuff. Oh, yeah, cool.
I wanted to show this. Let's see if I can get this to focus is the question. New filament.
Is that the knob from your stove?
It is a knob for the stove. This looks like sick with that filament, does it not?
Adam's just gonna start replacing all of the things in his house that he could replace with this meow wolf filament that he has.
Thanks. You gotta. It's talent.
It looks great.
Look at that design on the bottom of it.
This is the first time I've seen it in actual real life.
Here, look at that.
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
that shit.
Well.
Cause see how it's on one side of it, it's like a blue and a red, because it's dual mono or dual chromatic.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I always thought it was just sort of changing with the light, but it's legit. Like this is the red side and this is the blue side, right?
Yeah.
God, how does it? So it's always going in one single direction.
It's because the filament can slightly turn and go. Yeah, it is satisfying, isn't it?
Good God. So is that the filament is split in half?
It's almost gradient. Like however they mix it, it mixes within the filament, but then as it gets pulled through, it just melts. I don't know. Like they probably had a. Well, we should go look online. We have a whole series or ways that we could look at that. What they do, and I'm gonna try to explain this with like parts, is imagine you had like an area that pulls in some kind of plastic that's in a spool, and you could get a spool of blue and a spool of magenta, and you put it through a little tiny hole, and it pulls it together, and then it pulls it through another thing that heats it and like forms it to this exact thing, and then it like spins it up into the thing. So it's like mixing it in the fly with heat is essentially what it's doing.
But still, it can stay on its own side.
It kind of stays on the side in the way in the processing that they do that. It actually mixes kind of like a gradient together. And then when it melts through this thing, it's going back and forth, going around, and then like squirting it out, and you get something like that. It's amazing.
You always get it, one on one side and one on the other.
And it's almost like it's dependent on the patterns you do. It won't always be like on one side or another. It might be kind of weird and cut through there. It's like, it's random. It's pretty sweet. So
that is cool.
We got
it. Does look neat.
I love it. That was a Talon one. So
that's right.
I appreciate that one. So anyways, we're gonna do some 3D printing. It sounded like you had some stuff that you didn't even bring. Like I don't know what you're about to talk about. So I'm excited about hearing about that. 2022 year in review.
We got to look back and we got to look forward. Just things we consumed in 2022 and are look forward to consuming in 2023. I think. And movies.
And the hilarious part of this, and you'll get to see, is how much
Adam is just a freaking weirdo that sits in his basement and reads nothing. Consumes no media.
Just not the kind of media we want to share here.
Oh. Nice.
So we got some. We'll do a print check if we got the print going. If we got some printing, then we want to look into some board games.
We got 2 board games. Each of us got a board game for Christmas, and we played them. I assume you played yours.
I played mine. It was fun. It was a good time.
And we'll talk about those 2 board games, because the one that my son got was like supposed to be some sort of like hot new board game.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
So I got one. Can we talk about what they are?
Mine is Plunder. The game Plunder.
Mine is a classic. It's Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah. Really good.
There are no digital parts to that game?
Negative on that.
Oh, okay.
And if you played Oregon Trail, it has like the feel and the fun of it, but in a board game.
Hey.
So if you ever played it,
perfect.
It's really fun. It's actually, honestly, it rose to the top of my like top 10 of favorites to play with the family.
Nice. Hey,
so
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah,
all right.
Talk
and
about
then
it.
Chat GPT. Adam had a fun interaction on Reddit, right?
We could just get that one out of the way, or we
no,
could
no,
jump
no,
in.
No,
we'll leave that.
We'll do it, and then we're gonna play High on Life.
Heck yeah.
So we decided maybe we're going to play Dragons. What was it?
It's Dragon, Rise of the Dragon. We're gonna
we're
gonna finish some games because since we got Talon in the thing, we want to just like lay the foundation on how we're looking at 2023 right now with our gaming. Is that we want to finish games. and that's part of what we're gonna do. But we can't commit to consecutively playing the same game through there, just because there's so many things. So Adam and Ryan's show is probably gonna be scratching the surface of some games, maybe playing all the way, all to the end.
Yeah. It almost feels like how I see it is like we're gonna try games on here, and we're going to see, and if we're gonna do them as much as we can, and if we decide that we want to play it all the way through, maybe it just drops down to like one of our individual streams,
which we've been doing amazingly. So what have you been playing?
I've been playing. So Kathy and I, we finished up Monkey Island, which was a fun return to Monkey Island, and now we are playing through a 700 teensy run of Rayman Legends, which is one of Kathy and I's favorite platformers ever, which is an amazing 2-player couch co-op game, and we're going for a full 100% playthrough 700 teensy run, which is fun.
That's been fun. I've been watching it
and playing a ton of Kung Foot, which is like a soccer game that is built into the game, so it's like a game within a game inside of it.
Super meta.
And oh my goodness, just people who know the as well as Kathy and I do, just sort of like the mechanics of playing it, then playing against each other with those mechanics in like a fun game of soccer is just wild.
It's top. Well, I need to watch that, because you know what? I must have not seen the last one.
Because it always happens at the end. We always end it. We always end it with Kung Foot.
So I started my Witcher run.
Oh yes, that's right.
It's the long-awaited Witcher run.
The HD Witcher run. I love it.
And it's gonna take like
this is like hundreds of hours.
I think about 200 is what my calculations are. If I do a full complete run, and I'm gonna, if I fail a mission, I'm gonna quit, and I'm gonna go back to the next checkpoint, because I don't want to fail any missions.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so it's like I'm gonna just try to do a complete run of get as much as I can done.
Is there like a trophy, or not a trophy, but a achievement that you were going for, like specifically with the like? Have you 100%ed it before? With every single achievement.
I got close, and then I knew I wanted to stream it. And and just as a side note, we got off on topic, and I want to take this estuary onto this discussion point that was brought up by Disturbed. Number one, I want to say good eye, because that means that you are a graphic designer at heart. You can see things. Why is there different transparencies?
Oh, like
under my name?
Adams is more that's more like a 40% transparency.
Yeah.
And Ryan here is more like a 70%
transparency. The question is it truly transparency, Ryan? When you move to the side? Yeah.
Oh, wait, I got it.
You got it. You're 100% on.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is
Adam is not as important as I.
Maybe, probably, but
that's it. Bottom line.
Yeah, I fucked up. I made Ryan's transparency. Do you know how much effort goes into making this show?
Like, who are you to judge?
God damn it! Like, doesn't matter all the setup to make this work, but you fucked up the transparency.
The one little thing, and then now you're getting rung through the chat.
No. I appreciate that, because you know what? If I were to get all hurt about that, like, you're trying to help the show. You're trying to make us look good.
Totally.
And you did that. And so now that we're talking about that, let's see here. What other guests? Like Heather's up there. Guest is up there.
Adam is the only one that
look,
is.
I have the Adam and Ryan. Look, I have the Adam and Ryan.
Wait, so just do that and then do Ryan.
Maybe I'm just the inferior. You know, I wanted to sit in my humble.
I'm more humble.
I'm the studio hand on this show.
I'm saying, yeah.
Good catch.
Make sure to lower the transparency of the grip. his title.
He cannot have that kind of transparency. What are you thinking about?
Ridiculous.
He has a minimum or maximum 20% transparency. Jesus.
He doesn't know his place.
All right, good catch. Good call.
All right, so I'm ready to jump into what we want to 3D print, because I want to get it started.
All right, we got to talk about this. So talk about it. What are we doing?
Well,
what's the thoughts?
So if we want to talk about this a little bit, for Christmas, do we have a close-up cam here, or do I need to share it back here?
You have to shove it into here,
and then
get the focus.
do it. So has anyone seen one of these? They got advertised a lot over Christmas.
It looks cool.
And basically what it is it's from the company that makes Pop Socket.
Okay.
It's like a pop something.
Can I touch it?
Yeah,
I feel like
totally.
I want to touch it.
So what it is it's like it's a fidget spinner. It's like a fidget. It's a fidget toy for one thing. They try to really play it off as like you're gonna be freaking doing tricks with it or something.
Fucking tricks.
Yeah.
Feels
so
like
for tricks with it.
Oh shit! It's their magnets.
Yeah. So I love Adam discovering this in real time. So yeah, it's like you could do tricks with it. It's a fidget puck. Maybe that's what it is. A pop puck. Pop puck. Oh man, you almost lost it. So what it is it's magnets, right? And what it's supposed to do is one thing be a thing that you could like flip it up and then catch it right with the magnet. But I use it so I have a little bit of like a fidgetiness, especially in meetings and things like that. Like I want something. If you fucking lose that, Adam.
Whoops.
And so sometimes in meetings I want a thing to like fidget with, and I have a few different fidget spinners or not fidget spinners, but fidgety toys. They sell those. And so let me show you.
Yeah, you go for it.
Well, so I don't know if I can do it here.
You're gonna flip it?
No. I use it as like just a fidget toy, which what you can do is you can like see how I can like move it up with my bottom of my thumb and then pull it back across. Jesus. Right? So what you can do is like you can mess with it like that and play with it under, like not look like you're jerking off under your desk or anything.
I'm sure that is exactly what it looks like.
No, I'm smooth. So you could do that. The problem is it makes noise because I'm sure you can
it's
hear
clicky.
that.
I'd kick you.
That's one problem. But the reason that I like it is because
you got to cover our eyes to make this work. And then go back. There you go.
Go back. So
you can't show us our eyes.
Okay. Well, it's fine. So the thing that I like about it is let's say you fuck up and this goes up and around. See, but the cool thing about it is like for the most part as you're messing with it, the magnets are good enough that it won't just go flying off onto the ground.
Like it just did.
Like it just did, gone forever. But
I feel like it got stuck on this thing, but I don't know where.
Oh man. It's fine.
You lost it in real time, Ryan.
It's fine. It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen in this sea of wires.
Continue.
Well, so the thing is, this is fun to mess with, right? And I was thinking about how fun it is to just have magnetic things that, like, there's something just, it feels very satisfying to click magnets together, right? Or to have things magnetically come together. And so I was thinking, like, people must do that for 3D printed stuff. And so what I started to do is I was like, what magnetic, cool 3D printed things are there to do? And I found like some very cool 3D printed things that you use those like what are those like rare earth magnets or whatever or something, because they're super strong, right? And they don't have to be very see, nice, you got some right there. I have
some rare earth magnets.
Perfect.
Right in here. So
and some of these that we're gonna look at take like very specific sizes of magnets.
Well, that's why
and things like that. Okay, nice, perfect.
I use those. So
and I was anyway, people have come up with very clever things to do with like magnets and 3D printing and putting ball magnets of certain sizes built into 3D prints as you're doing it. And anyway.
Well, and I think that's a good thing is like, because with 3D printing, you got to catch it at the right layer and be like, oh, at layer this, go drop the magnet in.
Well, and these ones have a thing where they're like, it's just a hole just big enough that you put a 3mm BB magnet into, like, push it into the thing, and then it's just there, right? Like it.
But the cool thing about 3D printing is you literally embed it, and then it 3D prints over it,
the
and
top
it's
of
stuck
it.
in there.
Right, that's true.
And so, like, even
if you're willing to sit there and wait for like that exact moment, I guess.
Why would you not be? You're an awesome 3D printer. And do you know what else is good? Is like
I'm offended that you would even say that I wouldn't be there to embed the magnet into the 3D print.
Because you know how I would do it? is you would
just wait, right?
No,
and then you would just drop it in there.
I wouldn't just wait like a peasant, Ryan. Jesus. What I would do,
show do you think this
is I would go into a program, make a calculated guess on the time to the layer that I should be there, and set an alarm so that I just show up at that time. So just quick little anecdote is one time I had a print, and I was like, if I printed this at 100%, it's going to take like quadruple the time that I want to spend on this. And I was like, what is the cheapest and quickest way? And this was for my VR headset to be able to make this work. And so I said, at layer whatever, which is going to be about an hour and a half, I'm going to come here, and I dumped in BBs into the little like
to give it weight, right?
and then it was sweet because I like layered up. It was a pain in the ass, but I did it, and then it printed over the layer. And now I have BBs embedded in there, and it's like a really good base for something.
That's awesome.
And so I think the magnet point and why I would do that is, oh yeah, you can turn it that way. One of the reasons that the magnet would be important and bedding it is that then you don't have anything that could fall out if it's in there.
That's true.
But the other bad part is a polarity. Like because you were talking about.
If you get the wrong one, if you put the wrong side, you're like, you got to carve it out.
Or what if that makes the cool fidget toy? Like you make a little thing with a hinge where the polarity is always opposing.
Yeah. Oh no, so I feel like that's worse. Oh god, then like the whole part of it is having the like snap together.
Well, maybe one way it can snap. And then the other way, like it opposes, so you kind of have like a fidgety, like you're like, oh, every time I push it, it pushes itself away from each other.
Yeah.
So what was the thing that you wanted to print?
Well, like, so there were two. So right. Do you want to? If
you're like a stormtrooper mask, clone trooper helmet that has magnetics. Okay.
Yeah. What was that? What came through? I didn't see that
talked
in
about
the
that
chat.
one right
he
there.
Was talking about it in the chat. Some kind of clone trooper, faceplates on. Oh yeah. I could see that. Like. Coming over the top of
I mean, you put certain things on, you snap it on. So I think what we want to do, because I'm going to try something out. Ryan has not seen this part of the show here. Is you're going to see some weirdness in the background. Look at the back over there. Do you see that right there?
Yeah, it does look. It looks like posturized.
Looks a little weird, doesn't it?
Posturized. Oh, because it's looking for something. What is it looking for, Adam? Nothing.
What are we doing here? That's confusing. What did we just do?
It is very funny because you can see the edge of it lines up perfectly. It's like an amazingly perfect.
Is that really the edge?
Yeah, because that's you. That's real.
Oh, because we turned the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that. There we go. Now we're lined up. We're back in there. It still looks like we're in the studio, but the cool part
that's cool.
Is now we're gonna go to full screen mode. We're gonna play something in a little bit here, and we got to go to screen. We're already in screen 2. Well, so what are we gonna look at? Is the question.
If you can go to the Trello, I can bring it up because I put links in there too. So here's what I basically found is there was very interesting uses of putting magnets into like everyday items.
Okay.
That I thought was like, oh man, that is cool. The more that I started to research stuff into magnets in 3D printing, the more I was excited about 3D printing as like a practical, cool thing that you would do, right? Because it seems like all of the different stuff that Adam had been talking about, right, of like glasses and things like that, it had to be like ball sockets that were very, there's something about like a ball socket that just gets loose, right? And then it doesn't, and then it's hard to work anymore, and you got to get it very perfectly tuned in. That I was like, oh man, magnets around things. So one of them that I found was a key holder. So the key holder that we have at our house is just a terrible set of hooks, and what this one was, it was like a honeycomb shape.
Okay.
And then certain spots of the honeycomb were just like empty, and then you would then 3D print a keychain that you would put onto your own keys.
Okay, I got it.
And then you would just like, hey,
snap it on,
and you just go clunk, and you like snap it into the grid of honeycomb cool shape, and then that's where just everyone keeps.
Where did you
keys.
see that?
So I think I was just Googling around about.
We're gonna go to printables because we're promoting printables now. Look at see, we're in the bottom left corner. That's what you get when you get the green screens now.
That's right.
It's our new thing, but it seems like it's not lined up right because we changed the camera angle. We'll have to deal with that at some point.
See, Disturbed said the same thing. That lowers from the ceiling.
What the
green screen? It needs to
with the button.
Like,
yeah, with like a nice little sound to it, motorized actuators. All right, what I'm looking for is something with the word magnets in it. Ooh, look at that.
I found, if you want to, I don't know if we can go to our setup.
Ooh, eyeglass holders. That would probably have a magnet.
Oh, I could see that having a thing where like normally you wouldn't be able to feel the magnets, but then when you put it in,
let's do this. Let's say, what do you want to say? 3D printable magnet thing.
Because if you say 3D printed magnets, it's just a bunch of tech articles about 3D printing actual magnets.
Okay, so what were you searching then? Was it like
I think I was
like oh wait, embedding magnets in your prints.
Yeah. Well, and there were some of these, and yeah, there were links in the Trello board, but yeah, there was like the so there was the keychain part, but then the second one that I had was oh, see, now I can't remember.
Here, I'm gonna grab it. We're gonna get into the Trello board so we can pull out some good links for y'all.
I remember. Oh yeah, so one of them was shoelaces. So
Okay.
let's say you had your shoelaces, and instead of lacing up your shoelaces every time, you printed out sort of like 3D flat areas and put the magnets in them,
Okay.
and then laced the shoelaces into that magnetic or that 3D printed block. And then anytime you wanted to take your shoes apart, you would just pull apart the magnets, and then you would put your shoes in, and then to lace them, the magnets would just like clip together.
Don't they come apart?
No, because they would come apart this way, but they would the laces would be tied into them.
Oh.
So it's almost like a Velcro. It's just like a fancier Velcro, to be honest.
I got it. So here you are. Where are we at with those?
Fidget toys and magnets.
Hell yeah. All right, here's our first one of the day. We're gonna bring this one in. So so I suspect these are magnets that.
This was just the blog posts that I found.
But it seems like those are like little pieces that's like plug
yeah,
into
a lot
each
of
other.
them are just kind of like, here's little extra pieces that would all fit in together. Oh yeah, look at this one. Oh wait, for a diversion here real quick.
Okay.
Looking at fidget things. People who have fidgeting stuff, like sometimes that's like a real mental like a real thing that
mental
that bothers,
illness.
Yeah, like seriously though, right?
Okay.
And so when you bring up things that are like, I want to pick at things, right?
Oh,
or I want to
gosh.
fidget at things, people who have like skin picking disorders.
Heather, you might like this.
People who have skin picking disorders will get things like this, and you like pour this goo onto a porous rock, and then you pick the goo off of the rock. Apparently, is that, and there's like thousands of comments about this where it's just like, this is great. It's totally I thought it was not going to take very long.
And it all comes off.
Oh yeah, like all of that is pretty gross. Like I'm not into that. It just seemed like a really interesting thing that you're like, wow,
interesting.
It's sort of in that range of fidget spinner type.
So we got two of them. We got I get it. It's like a thing that you can, but we're not gonna 3D print that.
No. Okay, so
Is
go
the
to
other
this
one?
next one.
Oh, you're gonna bring Colts out. We're gonna get.
Oh what?
404, Ryan. 404.
That's dice holder. Oh yeah, it was a dice holder.
All right, let's see what's this. Is this the shoe one?
Okay, I think that's the shoe one. Yeah,
Oh, I could see that.
right. And so it like comes apart, and then you do it back together. I thought that would be kind of cool.
Looks kind of cool,
right? It's also a thing though that I was like, well, I could just buy those, right? Like I'm sure somebody has already printed and sold those on Amazon for $3. So the bad thing is like, or like what you would want to do is print those and then also add some kind of thing that says,
see
your name on it.
There's a solution. Good job. We brought this up earlier. Write your north and south.
Oh yes, yep.
I like that.
Actually,
that's a good way.
Pro tip for working with magnets.
Yeah. We closed the loop on that discussion.
Yeah, nice.
Here's your B cat. Yeah, here's the
Okay.
B.
So here's the So I thought that was cool, right? Like, just all it is a little hook, and then you figure out the rest of it, and then you just carry that around in your pocket, and then you just throw it up there when you're done, right?
I feel like it would totally work. That this would break. Everyone that's a 3D printer knows that is gonna break the
in your pocket. Oh, like
freak
holding
off.
a bunch of
Yes.
keys up.
So breaking. But like, great idea. Like, I think
So
that
what would
work.
do it? What would, because it has to make it around a keychain,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the problem is that if you printed this from floor to ceiling here, think about it. The layers are going to go horizontal all the way to the top. And so there's only like this little layer connecting this to this. So it'd almost be better to print it on its side so that it's like stronger in the way that you build that out.
I wonder if like, could you make it more, you know, not a very small like ring in the top, but like the entire, like what if it was just an entire dome?
Yeah, no,
or something
absolutely. You could like
around
put a
that, right?
hole in it. So I think we could reconstruct something.
Yeah,
like
like
that.
almost like it comes up and then there's just a giant hole in the middle, right? And it would be less convenient to have on a keychain, I imagine, but I would rather it work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, I think it would work once or twice, and then that thing would break off in
See,
your pocket.
and then you'd have a whole stupid thing that you like mounted on the wall. Right?
Exactly. So like,
And then I'd be like, Adam, print me another 6 of these. Okay, so here was another one. This was one that I thought was interesting. That is sort of you're printing one of these each. Like the print is just one of those, but then you print them in a bunch of different colors and styles. And what it's supposed to be is it's like a shape that is very easy to build things off of on top of itself. And so you just build as many of one of those as you can, and then you cram these like 3mm
and they just
magnetic
pop in
BBs
there.
in there.
And the thing too is like, you don't have to worry about the polarity in those ones, because once you pop it in there, hopefully it just sticks in there, and then it can adjust its
Right.
like it'll work with anything.
Now one thing that I haven't heard you talk about, but I read in the comments or in the description of this Thingiverse model, was that it was like you should definitely use a like 3.5mm nozzle, or like a small millimeter nozzle to print these, because of that, the how the BBs fit in and how it needs to like fit together necessarily to feel cool and like it clicks in.
So if you're not familiar with that, here's the summary here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Purchase. So that's the purchase. Yeah, tweaking the size. Each one of the balls is 3mm, 11-sided, PLA filaments.
Yeah, a 0.3mm nozzle for the sharper corners and more accurate
Ooh,
details.
because we typically do with like a 0.4. So they're saying going down a little bit.
Yeah,
So
and
those
have
are
you
the
ever
tips.
done anything like that and
Yeah.
changed out nozzles? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a simple thing to do or a complicated thing to do?
Do you want the simple answer or the long answer, Ryan?
The simple answer, to be honest.
It's
Easy.
There's like a seal that you make when you put on a nozzle in a 3D printer. So in theory, it's easy to take off and put a new nozzle on.
Okay.
But if you don't like butt the seal up just right, you have this chance for the filament to come out in a way that's not going to work. So I personally have like a methodology of putting my freaking hot ends together.
Well,
And so it requires me to take the printer apart if I want to switch out a nozzle.
and you have to be really careful, like you said, about getting it into the right position and everything to do that. And so you would want to switch it out for like a big thing. You're like, I'm gonna print 50 of these.
Hell yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You'd want to think that through a little bit.
Yeah, that makes
Well, that's
sense.
good. No, so I think you have. This is the last one.
This is the last one, and this was just another where I was like, hey, what a interesting way to use magnetics and lights.
And power.
Yeah, right. Like it's full. It has LEDs in it, and as long as it is sort of stuck to that base, I think you can like move it and change it into all sorts of different angles. Now, what I don't know is if you could put it on the wall and change that.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
you
know
could.
but I don't know if the magnets are strong enough, or it would be able to hold itself up into a crazy like worm.
So they
from the
connect like
base?
this.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
That was just one where I was like, hey, that is an actual, way that you would make 3D printed things, because then you could just print out how many of those, 1 million of them, right? And those LED lights are super cheap.
Yeah.
And you could just be like, I'm going to fill up my entire room with this entire LED wall.
You need a little PCB board or whatever that might be. You got some connectors.
An Arduino to...
I don't know. Is that what that even is?
I don't even think it's as complicated as all that.
Yeah, I think it's called a...
Maybe if you wanted to do like patterns of stuff, I could see that.
Yeah, it doesn't say... Okay, here it goes.
Because, like, look how cool that is. And if you could... to see, and that's what I want to do.
It's a controller.
I'll magnetize then the walls, too. I'll just, like, drop magnets inside the walls.
I don't know if it's really like a paint or like
a paint.
A thing that
Nice.
you put on the wall, and you can make it magnetic.
Nice. Oh, I'm going to do that.
That would be the way. And then you have all these lights on there. Then you use Tesla coils to like power your wall and electrocute yourself.
Anyway, Adam, print me out 500 of those, please.
On order, sir. We will get those there. Oh yeah, so we got some paint. You got some at the sign shop. So heck yeah.
Oh sweet. Oh man, nice.
I think it's time for some year in the review. But before we do that, are we gonna print anything?
Yeah,
that's the question.
Well, so I was thinking we could try to print like one of the metallic sort of shapes that was there that you put the BBs into. That was just to try it. But if you have something that you have in mind to print rather than that.
I didn't necessarily have anything in mind to print. So let's try a metallic shape. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this shape. We're gonna save it and we're gonna download it.
So I looked on Amazon because I was like, well, I'll just buy a bunch of 3mm BBs that are magnetic, and then I'll have it for the show, and we'll dump it into there on the show, right? We'll print one. I was having a hard time finding like non-jewelry magnetic BB, which I didn't know would be strong enough. Do you think that would be strong enough?
Jewelry ones?
Yeah, like...
Why wouldn't that? That sounds like it would be hella strong.
Yeah, like you would put it in with like a necklace, right? And you would connect it with a wire, but then it would be magnetic and it would hold together like that. But they didn't say like that rare earth magnet, which I feel like usually those really, really strong magnets typically do, don't they?
They didn't say rare
It
earth?
didn't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, then it may not be.
So then I was like, oh, I don't want it to be like not strong
It's hard
enough.
to get those, honestly, because
it?
I heard that they're a super popular thing, and
man.
everyone is wanting those. So let's do this. We're gonna take a look at this. I just love that little pop up over the screen that we get to do that there.
It's very Adam's enamored with his own technology.
I wanted
successes.
to do that because we could be right here, but you get to see more of the screen, and then we could pop away or we can go down.
That's
and
right.
It's like
I saw you like emphasizing yourself when you wanted to say something or have some kind of expression, and then coming back down during the Witcher streams. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I gotta throw this out because Talon's in the stream. If you're still watching, I already kind of committed to saying that you were right. Kira is probably the better slicer. That we need to go for that. I already committed to this. So here's a quick little story. You saw the last 20, the number 20, right?
Yep.
Where we talked about Simplify 3D, what we're in right now, which is I had to update it. I had to spend money to update this.
Wow.
And so I was even like, I don't know if I want to do that, but I already had spent money on, and I figured like I'll put my money on the line,
sunk cost,
to help utilize this on the show and give my 2 cents, because Kira has almost all of the things for free.
And it's for free
that I got into this thing. There are some things that it does have that Kira doesn't have, but I don't use those things. Okay. So
yeah.
Anyways, I got it. I got dark mode now, so that's why you get to see this.
Ooh, love a dark mode.
Lychee slicer, resin slicer. Actually, okay. And it has an F. Okay, I may have to check some other slicers out. So what I feel like I'm doing when I bring this slicer up is I'm just giving the perspective from like somebody that got suckered into using this. Now, I was reading some articles, and they were giving props to the people that are building this app and saying that they're kind of like a startup, and this is their app that they're trying to keep up.
Ooh, and now they have a competitor that's giving it away for free.
Well, it's just that they had a slow production on it. I don't know how any of this is true, but I'd read like a bunch of forum posts on it, and they were just like, these people have been really trying to make this thing and like make sure there's support behind it, and then they have all these features and whatnot, and so it suckered me into buying the upgrade to it.
And
I'm supporting.
Has it been well? Has it been going well?
Like, a lot of people were irritated because they bought it with the idea that within a year there would have been an update to it and you'd get the free update. You know, when you buy a program, you typically you get one free upgrade.
Or there's like a period of time when you expect, you know.
Like, there's some ones that will say, hey, if you spend this money, we promise you one upgrade whenever the next one drops, and then you still get 1 year of support just to make sure that you get upgrades that drop during that year. Like Camtasia does that.
Oh, okay.
So in this case, the thought was a couple years ago that there was like this new one gonna drop, this version that was gonna drop, and if you spent the money now, you would get the upgrade. Okay. That didn't happen. Oh. And then the upgrade dropped 2 years later, and then they're like, hey, guess what?
Everyone's paying for this.
$60 for the upgrade. And so I was outside of that window, and they gave you like a $10 off because you're like, you get this for a limited time because you already had it. So if you want to buy it, you get it here.
Sure.
So I thought about it, looked at my wallet, a little moth flew out. It's like, all right, fine, I'll get this. So I did it, and that's where we're seeing today. So I just want to share that. So the other quick note about it is apparently they built it from the ground up. That's what took so long. They took the code base of whatever made this, they started from scratch, rebuilt it because then they could do it better. And that's part of the reason it took so long. It's seemingly the same thing, but it does well on some other things. And so one of the things that it does well on, just as a new thing, and I'm going to go to desktop and I'm going to open this little shape that we had. One of the things that it does well is like you were talking about these holes having like a potential issue because of the size and the tolerance that you'd want those holes to do.
Yeah.
So what it supposedly will do is print layers at different heights on the layer itself. And there's a way that it uses the slicer and does the G code. So some layers will go slower and it will create better curves and better things with it.
Slower, right? Because it can't make the layer. Does it make the layer thicker?
Yeah, like it could be. It's like how fast, how much it's extruding, how where it's pushing it through, and like how it calculates doing some of the corners. Nice. So one of the things is if you know it from a very nuanced sense, and you were following all the things, and there's that really crazy thing that it's gonna do. That's what it offers. It offers these little things. But one of the things that it does offer that I did purchase it for, I'm gonna show you right now, is that if I go to the process settings, we're going to run this one in a PLA settings.
Okay.
But as far as the infill, and you saw a little bit of this before, is that they have all these infill patterns that are different now. So before it used to be just a few of them.
Yeah.
And I've been using the gyroid. So if I run that with gyroid, and I'm just going to use on the PLA kind of run through on this, as I go through it, it has like a. Let me go this way. I thought this one looked like really kind of cool. Like it has a different infill.
Are you basically just choosing that for any other reason besides aesthetic?
Yeah, absolutely. Like what the idea is that different structures may need different like supports or different infill patterns, or if you might see through a filament, you want it to look a little different. There's a lot of reasons you might do that.
So is there like best practices where you're like, oh, you would definitely use this noodle fill or whatever we just saw for this types of structure?
There possibly is. I don't know that depth, but like I would say that depending on like the structure, if you're like thinking of it from like an engineering sense, that you might. Oh, I don't want to do that part. You might want to think about it different. You're just like, if I do this kind of like octahedral is what I did here. So like it has almost diamonds inside.
Well, but it does the circles probably slightly cleaner. Right, because it's not trying to go back and forth along an edge. It's trying to build it up as like a.
Only thing we're looking at right now is the orange, and so
the orange
because
only.
the infill is what's in orange, and so if you look on this left-hand side key right here, it will say infill. Okay. It'll show you what those types are. So when you see the blue, that's a perimeter.
Okay.
when you see the solid layer, like that's actually inside of the perimeter, and so that you'd have to. I don't want to go too deep into the whole world of it, but like all of those things are changeable. I could say like, give me 10 perimeters before you go to the inside, and you can build really solid structures. And so there's all the little tweaks, and it's all based off what you're looking to print and what kind of stability you want to bring into it.
Fully stable.
Fully stable. All right, so I think we just got to pick one, and I'm
whatever
you
think, whatever you think would be the best for.
It almost doesn't matter. Pick one of the one by a name.
By a name.
What's a name that looks cool?
Octahedral.
That was the one we just did, so we can go run with that one. That one's cool because that's kind of a
wiggle.
You want to go with the wiggle. All right, let's see what wiggle does. So, I actually wrote the developers here. I'm just gonna do the complaint on stream. Because if
you're listening,
I did not appreciate your support. Reply to me on this. The one is that before you set up these processes, right? So I'm clicked on PLA right here.
Yeah.
I want to run the PLA process.
Sure, that makes sense.
So yeah, let's prepare it at the print. Oh, mother effers! Why do you select all of these? I selected PLA over here. Why do I have to hit?
There's a reason.
Why do I have to hit select none?
Oh man, and you have to hit
then
select
reselect the
none.
one that I want.
At least select nothing.
Yeah. Come on.
Just leave it blank.
It's like they replied with some BS. I don't even want to. I'm not going into it. So now I have to click a button in this. So even more reason
they just told you to go fuck yourself.
Like Talon is like wiping his eyebrows, like you see you're a sucker at him. Like it happened. So anyways, I'm gonna run it.
Startup doesn't mean good. No. Small team does not mean needs to be supported.
I like this one.
Noodle.
Noodle. How the hell is? Oh, it's a noodle because it goes like back and forth and back and forth. I guess that's a noodle.
I guess.
Very noodly.
I suppose there's noodles with like frills along the edges.
All right, this is a 2-hour noodle, man.
Is that yeah, that goes over our time typically. Yeah. No, it's like right at time.
All right, well, we'll see what we can get. I mean, we're gonna have to see it at the end of the stream. We're not shoving any magnets in this one tonight.
No, it's meant to do where you can do the magnets afterwards. So you could print just like 50 of them.
I just don't have the magnets. So if you're interested in how I naming convention on my card is I have X1. This might be a good Google short for some super nerd. No, okay, really quick. X1 means 1 times of the part, and then what the part is, and then what filament you should be doing.
Is there sometimes more than X1?
Yeah, like if you have multiple parts you're printing at the same time, like this binocular cap that I designed the other day.
It feels like you could glean that out of its name, binocular cap.
Okay, that one fair point. But like if you do a multiple prints of something, you'd want to do it a little bit of time. I don't know.
That's true.
Because when you put the card in there and you're at print mode, you're like, what am I gonna do? So we call this true. Like shapey magnety things. Shape magnet. I'm gonna call
shape magnet. Because eventually I'm gonna want you to print out thousands of these, and I'm gonna do it like Big Hero 6 style, where I control them and they click together. Did you ever see Big Hero 6?
Hell yeah, I did.
That's a great movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's jump into. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get on this printer back here, and you're gonna.
Are you just gonna disappear? You're just going to disappear from the shot once you get to the other side of this.
All right. So here's the fun part. I'm going to reach it up.
Yeah, like, let the Hollywood magic.
We're going to go in reality mode.
Wow. I can't tell what sort of hoax or magic trick or scam we should be running with this whole setup, but
it's going to work. See, something. Now I'm able to go back.
And now you're out of here. You can start the print.
All right, so talk about this. If you want to look at year in review, here's all your links up here. And actually what we can do is, not that one, but nobody saw that.
Nobody saw that.
Here you go. You can run it here, and then we can pull it down.
Oh, you just want to go best of 2020?
Let's go.
We can start it. Yeah, that's true.
It's time to best of 2022, and Ryan's gonna kick it off here, and we're gonna talk about some of those things. You can pull up stuff if you want to go to full screen. You can, and then you'll be able to pull it on the screen.
I can go to full screen, hit this, that one. Okay.
That's it. So we're starting prints back here.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to
and
switch
I
to
can
that?
hear you, and
I
can switch. If I can go over here, I can switch to the thing. We're already on that screen, so let's get that going.
Let's see. Full screen. All right, cool. So, we are going to talk about. I mean, this is the time of year for discussing, hey, what was going on during the last year that we liked, and what are we looking forward to in 2023. I enjoy hearing other people talk about what they're excited about, because then it sort of sparks something in me, right, where I go, oh yeah, I want to check that out.
And the thing is, we learned that I'm not very good at keeping up with the current
Adam
trends of
Adam doesn't
2022.
apparently consume media. I was like, he was like, well, I'm having a hard time. Well, I don't even know what I should be looking up, Adam.
Well, you have above that your Trello board. If you want to click your links or whatever you want to show,
okay.
Or we can just show the front cam.
I'm going to do.
And while he's doing that, you can see this little guy.
Yeah, perfect. So, I even for the amount of like pop culture sort of podcasts and things like that I consume, I'm not actually watching a ton of different shows. I'm trying to be very particular in which ones I'm choosing, and so. If anyone has suggestions for things that I missed or things that were amazing that you're looking forward to in 2023, I definitely want to hear about them, because that's where I take most of my suggestions, is people that I trust and the suggestions that they have.
Isn't that how that works though? As you talk about it at work?
No, because like you could go off of Rotten Tomatoes scores, right? Or you could go off of oh, see, okay, right? Disturbed in the chat said Wednesday is a great series. Should we just start there? Do we want to start?
Yeah, because he kind of stole my thunder, man. But that's all good. That's all
okay,
good.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through. We're gonna do so. And Adam can chime in. We're gonna handicap Adam. If Adam just wants to talk about, it didn't have to come out in 2022 if you don't want to, or anything like that. Just what you consumed.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to think. I hit the camera here. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do. Shall we do game? Because we play games on this show, so I feel like that's a big important one. The things that came, I'm gonna do things that came out in mostly for the most part.
I have a 2022 game to talk about.
All right, cool. So my number one 2022 game was actually downloadable content. Was DLC for a game that came out multiple years ago, but just the downloadable content came out this year, which was Cuphead. So
and they came out with a Netflix series.
Yeah, which I hated.
Was it bad?
I did not like I did not. The children loved it. Children watched the entire thing, and they watched it over break, and it was grating on me, so I did not enjoy that. But the Cuphead, I don't know if you want to bring that up, but the Cuphead DLC was multiple years in the waiting, because that game came out 3, maybe 4 years ago at this point.
What is it called, the DLC? The Delicious Last Course?
Yeah. And it was something where I beat Cuphead, 100%ed Cuphead.
When did it come out?
It came out in 2022.
Oh, the whole game? The original?
No. The original game came out like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And so this was something that I had been looking forward to for a long, long time. And man, I feel like it delivers. There's something about Cuphead of the frantic shooting and just one hit, one life, dead, out, right? The original came out in 2017. That's how long we have been waiting for this. And I played through. I have yet to beat it, because I feel like it is one of those things you just have to run your head against a lot.
Okay.
But
because it's like you're memorizing the paths, you're trying to figure out.
Well,
all the
you're
different
memorizing
things.
it too, and I feel like this game, for the last thing, because I know we're gonna go through a bunch of stuff, but the last thing about this game is I feel like it really shows. You know that thing in games where you play something and you run your head up against it over and over again like a boss.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is impossible. I'm going to bed. And then you go to bed, and then you wake up and you go up the next morning, and or the next day, and you play and you beat it on like the first try.
Yeah, because you
because you slept on it and you did that. I feel like this is the epitome of this game. because what it does is you run your head up against something and you run it and you do it and you do it and then you go, okay, I don't know what they were thinking. This is impossible. And I run Cuphead as, what's the opposite of a glass tank? Iron pea shooter.
What do you
I play as an iron pea shooter, which means I have a ton of health, but all of my projectiles and everything are like really reduced down, so it takes me a long time to kill things.
Okay.
But I have a lot of health in the background, and I was like, all right, that's how I played this game, is just wearing it down. And anyway, Cuphead DLC, amazing.
The chat's been debating God of War or Elden Ring as
See?
we watch this, and I gotta chime in. Oh God. Oh,
the worst.
Jesus.
This is the worst.
Oh, this one's kind of good.
I
feel like I should watch it a little bit.
awful.
Okay, wait, it
Oh
went
my
to the
God.
bad one. All right, so
Here's just a commercial in the middle of this promotional video.
this is the first 9 minutes of it. I'm gonna say Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. I have not gotten into any of those Dark Souls games.
So here's the thing: is like we were talking about games that we play, and I was like, I don't play them, but I watch people playing them
Yeah,
because I got
sure.
into Twitch and that. In God of War, I actually do like it. It was right up there, and I was going back and forth. And one of the things was that my son got God of War, and he was playing the crap out of it. And so I was watching it. I was like, that is pretty sick.
Pretty
That's
cool.
really good. I think maybe my Elden Ring go-in, and the reason I like Elden Ring was that it had like a witchery feel to it.
It does.
In like some of
yes, I would say of all the things, it's sort of it just like it's like witchery, but then sort of going kind of weirder, monstery, gothic, right? With that kind of stuff. So
Okay, so here we are. We're jumping into Cuphead, first kind of level. So I want just to throw this out because we're talking about this is your favorite game, right?
this was my favorite game of the year.
The thing about this one was because it's the DLC right now.
Yeah.
I read a bunch about the design of this game and how they built it. Did you
No.
look at this? Like they did things to make it feel like this. Like this wasn't just like
Sure.
Like they actually drew and scanned, and they were like, if you want it to look like an old cartoon, you can't do it the
100%,
old way.
right?
And I think that's why you like it.
And it's almost like nostalgic, right? But it fixes all the nostalgic parts so that it's not grating. So it's like still good for. It's just a stylistic thing,
It
right?
is.
Like
But-
I feel like
but
it's got the style.
They didn't just stylize it. They like took some efforts to do it like you would do that
yeah.
in the time if you were going to build a video game. So it took extra effort to make it happen.
And it's just such a tight, amazing control scheme that I feel like they implement better in things like this. Like sometimes they will take away all your powers and then have you just go in naked almost. Like you can't choose any of your extra stuff. So you only have 3 lives, right? You only have your basic shooter. And
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because
Totally.
like I feel like I want to see some action here. Look at that. Oh shit. Screw it. It's like every time this is to like burn me in front of Jason every time. He's like, get ad freaking block, dude.
it's true.
Alright, I want to see this guy's running around.
So in Cuphead, and we don't have to.
Hold on a second, we gotta see this.
Cuphead
Look at
is
this.
anytime they. Ooh,
It started.
the first one.
Good, and that's the edge. I think I feel like I should go and fix that. Maybe I should. All right, continue with this conversation. I'm going over there.
Fix it.
All right, I will continue.
So, just I learned. I feel like I learned Cuphead through the. I really put in my dues with Cuphead because when you have children helping you with Cuphead, especially when this came out in what was that year, 2017.
17.
Yeah, that having a child also be with you and play this co-op on the couch, I feel like is a handicap that made me that put me through the Cuphead ringer. So now I can really get into it. But I do feel like every time I need to play a level for an evening, run my head up against it, and then play it literally the next day, and then I will beat it. And that's my Cuphead tips and tricks, is going through and being like, you got to try it for a little bit, and then you got to sleep on it, and then you can go in and beat it, because it happens every time with me. Yeah, like just the amount of animations and everything in this, I just feel like are great. All
And
right,
it's all
we don't
boss
have
battle, right?
It's all boss battles, which people were sort of
I was vamping to buy some time to get all the right things done here.
they were against for a long time, so they put in normal levels. And then when they put in normal levels, people were like, these normal levels suck and these boss battles are much better. And the and the developer was like, yeah, that's what we were trying to tell everyone, but you got mad about it, so we put them in.
All right, so we're back.
I'll just mention one. Two other honorable mentions. Vampire Survivors, which you saw me play when we were on chat, IT support for a while. You saw me play Vampire Survivors, and then I was new to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. But that came out actually in 2021, but I played it in 2022 when it came to Game Pass, and that is a very fun game that I feel like is the best. If you want to see Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy characters and that dynamic that they have, I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy game is the best piece of media around them that sort of spends the time to flesh out the characters way more than they are in the movies. And so if you're into the Guardians of the Galaxy characters, I would suggest playing that game because
I love it. It's like is the game fun? Is the question that I would have. It's like
here's how it's fun. It's you as a group. You're always with your group, okay? Right? And you never go. It's not like, oh, now I'm gonna play as a Drax, and now I'm gonna play as Rocket. It doesn't mess with that. It goes, you're going to do them and you're going to control them and tell them to do stuff, right? But all of their things are like crazy special weapons that they just are on cooldowns. And so you're shooting guys and doing things, and then you're just sending off all of, Drax and Rocket to rocket guys and smash them and do things all the time. So it feels like you're getting overwhelmed, but if you're not using that, like, send off those guys and do those things, because the cooldowns are like 4 or 5 seconds. So you're always constantly sending them out. So then it feels like you are actually playing with your whole team and you're all beating the crap out of each, these bad guys all themselves.
That sounds fun. I like that. I love that.
And the fun thing is lots of good, dialogue, right? Because they have more time.
Is it all the original characters?
No, absolutely. Okay, in fact, absolutely not. In fact, even the likenesses of the people are not the people from the movies. And you would think, you're like, that's going to be weird. But after like an hour or something, you're just like, whatever, these
you get over it,
it's fine, and they have slightly different mannerisms about them, I would say, but for the most part it's the same. So
I think what I want to do is just, like, we talked about God of War.
Sure, totally.
Let's see some just God of War graphics and them running through something. This is some gameplay. I'm not sure
that looks so great.
This looks great.
Okay,
this part water looks now
better. I feel like that part up there was a little sketch, but okay.
He just saved somebody. Is that his son?
Yeah. That's the whole thing, right? Him and his son.
Yeah. I mean, the water action here.
That looks good. I would be into this. I need to buy a PlayStation, apparently.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like
it's gonna come to PC.
They really hook you and try to get you into these other things. This dude is just like not even having a hard time pulling you out of there. He's like, here, let me just get you out.
Real quick, I'll just drag up a full-grown man and his 14-year-old boy.
Ragnarok's like having a hell of a time, and then
yeah,
Jesus here.
So Disturbed, I saw that the original game is on PC, and I did see that. I saw you were playing that, right?
Norse God.
Would you say that's worthwhile to go back and play on PC? Or should I just move on to this one?
He's a Norse god, but by the way, that guy that pulled him up.
Oh, that's okay. So
that's why he's all casual about it. Like, let me just pull your ass out of the thing here. Yeah, none of them should be struggling. I agree on that. That's what I was saying. Like,
no one should be struggling.
He has a freaking sword that he can throw and pull back with the chain. And
isn't that kid like a half one? Half god?
He has a mohawk. I think that's why my son loves this game. All right, let's see. Let's get to some other gameplay pieces. We're just doing previews of this.
Yeah.
This is fine. A lot of, like, the graphics. It does show you, like, they definitely like gold.
Looks good.
How old is that kid?
Yeah. 13?
probably.
What do you think? Wait,
Yeah, if anybody knows, I would say like
14?
Yeah, like I was gonna say right in teens, like early teens.
14.
Okay, this is what I wanted to see. I want to see something
Bluehost.
about Bluehost. This is amazing. Go and don't do that. I'll get ad block never, but
I'm pro ads.
pro ads.
No, not really.
That's true. Actually, I don't usually see them. Okay, so this is like a boss-esque battle. I like that snow.
Yeah, no, that looks great.
So environmental effects are good.
Snow deformation has come a long way. Did you do any of that Red Dead Redemption?
I did a little bit, but
Yeah.
not enough where there was any snow or anything.
It was like right at the beginning, right?
I think I played, or not even played. I watched somebody play because I was interested, and they said it was really tedious.
Yeah, I did not like the new Red Dead.
Ooh! Throw that axe one more time. Oh, it's that.
This feels a little. This also feels a little Witcher-like, doesn't it? Kind of.
It's like the whole third person thing.
I guess.
And then axes and.
But I just feel like
they've
they've sort of distilled down what people like to play in 3D.
All right. So
third
this
person.
is.
All right.
This is the
Let's do
first
it.
one. Wait.
So.
Kid turned in. Wait. Is that the kid?
Oh, jeez.
He just turned into a bear. Oh, he doesn't want to kill that lady.
He doesn't want to have to kill that bear?
That's his son.
The bear?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
He transitioned.
Spoilers for this game, apparently.
This is the first stuff. Look at her. She came back.
Does look good.
Yeah, she looked like you had some emotion in that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There's our preview.
Adam's like, you're watching major spoilers.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so I wanted to. We can move on. We can move on from games.
I want to quickly go to the Elden Ring because those are the top two that were debated in here. So here's an Elden Ring part that we're gonna see. Because oh my Jesus, what the? Did he just jump on air?
He's got like a double jump. The horse has got a double jump.
Okay, fair enough.
I watched a fair amount of people play Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it seemed.
See, this has my like the Witcher feels right now.
It's just like the monster type is very different, and it's a lot of like parrying things and like very slowly like going in and having very deliberate like you could die all the time off of anything, and very precise swordsmanship, which I'm just not very good at. Maybe I'm just showing my age, but
well, and I would say with Witcher, one thing that I learned if you listen to me play is I will button mash, but I've been getting better at saying, oh god, I'm not gonna button mash, and I'm gonna try to like deliberately hit the button so that I get the swipe, but then there's not that secondary like swipe towards nothing.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Because then it's like it wastes a parry or something. Jesus, he just like that guy tripped and then he slashed him in the back and he's dead.
Well, because he's probably got some kind of crazy overpowered like gigantic
with the big ass
axe or whatever.
Huge axe. It looks sweet.
Executioner axe there.
So I think the reason I liked something like this is I just love the graphics that I've seen. I love that like the environments that you walk around in.
And Talon mentions right here in the chat that like it does have so much of that exploration, right? And going off and seeing like, what does this thing look like over here? And we'll talk a little bit about
like
that
open world, right?
My most anticipated games of next year. Talk a little bit about.
Right. Well, do we feel like so? So this was my choice before I knew of what I was.
This game that you didn't play.
Yeah, no, but that's what I was saying. Is like when it came out, there was such a hype around it, and even Talon was one of the ones that got me into it initially. True. And so I started watching people play it, and I was like, that looks amazing, and it looks like I get my ass handed to me, so I'm gonna watch other people play because that looked fun. There
are plenty of games where I'm like, this seems like a fun game for me to watch someone play and not actually play.
All right, so that's I think that. Like Elden Ring, we said there was God of War. You got your Cuphead, and then what was the other? The Guardians of the Galaxy
and Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is very good. I wanted to do a little bit of movies and TV.
Yeah, let's talk about
from
it.
2022. Adam watched a minuscule amount of TV and movies apparently in 2022. Watch Wednesday. Loved Wednesday. I could just do them really quick.
Do it up.
I will. So two movies that I really loved in 2022. One was Everything Everywhere All at Once, which if you haven't seen, I feel like is an amazing movie that just won some awards for their stars, Golden Globes and things. And so yes, we won't. We're not going to spoil this,
No
but
spoils.
if you haven't seen this, this is just an amazing movie from a small team, and very poignant, very crazy about the editing. Like if you're interested in like video editing from a small team where all of the stunts, all of the special effects are done in like simple After Effects things and real life stuff that they put together and then composited together. All of the shots are done with that. It was like almost by a really like 3 or 4 people basically made all of the effects for this movie, and just has some great acting and very different and funny, and yeah,
That's
just cool.
I think I'm gonna want to watch that. We're not gonna even show anything to like.
No, well, you could show like.
You know what? We'll do this. This is what it looks like if you jump online. At least everything everywhere all at once. I have not seen it, Ryan.
It's
But wait, I thought, was there, who's in it? Let's just like say some cast members so we understand that.
One of the guys, he's Short Round from
That's what I was
Indiana
gonna say. Isn't that
Jones.
Short Round?
That's
right.
Short Round.
Okay. She just won the Golden Globe.
She did for this movie, and also Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie as a in a very weird, like middle-aged, overweight Jamie Lee Curtis.
And Randy Newman's in there.
I guess.
And let's see who's at the very ass end of this.
The very end of the backup fighters.
Oh, that's the dominatrix.
Nice.
Oh no, that was something.
Well, because it switches to a lot of different.
There's not a lot
universes.
Of like I don't see.
Hey, I mean that's the whole thing.
Everything everywhere at once. Yeah, I always thought about what would happen. I was just trying to see. There's like a lot of different folks in there. Biff Whiff.
He plays Rick.
Andy Lee. Alpha Jumper.
And
that sounds interesting. I want to see it. So
yes,
okay,
you
what
should.
What was else?
And the other one is a gigantic one that just Avatar 2.
Anybody see that?
Has anyone seen it? So I enjoyed the first Avatar just in the sense of a big spectacle 3D movie, and I liked Avatar 2 in that same respect, right? Big 3D, ridiculous, like over the top 3.5 hour exploration of like underwater creatures in a crazy alien world. So those are the 2 movies that I liked. You could tell that I didn't probably go to all that many movies, but yeah, I mean, maybe it's because too, like I had kids at the exact time. Like it shows his and all of that's basically what Avatar 2 is like all of the different family dynamics of having children now, which is basically what it explores in this one, which is like a thing that mirrored my life of having kids within that time.
Well, and I don't know. It's like, did he already shoot all the other movies?
So what I understood was he shot 2 and 3.
Good one. Disturbed.
Nice. He shot 2 and 3 already.
Okay.
And they were basically like, we're definitely doing at least one more.
Right.
And if it does really well, then we'll do the rest of them too.
I thought he was doing that for the last 10 years. Like,
well, because he basically shot 1, 2, and 3 altogether. Right. And then went in and was doing all of the special effects for 2 and 3, so that 2 and 3 could come out like within a year of each other, or within 18 months of each other.
Got it.
And then basically, trying to release them closer. And then if they did well, then because he really wants to do 5 and 6 or whatever, 4, 5, and 6. Like he wants to do like a whole. He just wants to spend the rest of his life making Avatar movies, apparently. but they make like $1 billion, so I guess you can't argue against that, right?
He's like, yeah. Well, I mean, he's apparently can put together a good story. So
I love
Avatar 2.
The James Cameron did a ton of interviews before Avatar 2 where he just talks very plainly because he's a fucking billionaire and no one could touch him, and he's made the most popular, profitable movies of all time. And so he just does all these interviews that are great where he just spouts off about whatever. And one of them was that an executive came up to him after Avatar 1 came out and was like, you have to cut this down. This is too long. Nobody is going to see this. And he was like, you right now is the only time where you could say, you know, if you come out against this right now and it makes $1 billion, I'm going to come and be like, fuck you. Right. Like, I'm going to specifically know that right now you came to me and said that this was shitty and I shouldn't release this the way it is. And I'm going to know that. So is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to say right now? And the guy was like, yes, you should shut it down. And so then when it came out and made $1 billion, he was like,
that's nice. It's like, that. See?
Yeah.
That's it. That's a good bet on that. So hells yeah.
Okay, so did you?
TV.
So you watched TV?
I watched some TV. I mean, Wednesday was mine.
Yeah, I agreed. It could have been half an hour shorter. I agree. It's languishing in the world that it's trying to build. That's what James Cameron's all about. And that's why I like it all at once in an IMAX theater where I have to not have my phone in front of me.
Yeah, force it down your throat so you don't get bored unless start looking Reddit.
Yeah.
All right, TV. On to TV.
Wednesday. Do you want to talk about Wednesday?
That was my surprise of the
surprise of the year.
Because what was it? Like Heather and I sat down and were like, "Oh, sweet, Wednesday's out. Like, let's check this out." And then like watched them all because it was good. It was like 2 sittings, and I think what the hook was is they went the Harry Potter route. They're like
more
right,
monsters, more
monsters. Throw her in a school, take away the parents,
totally.
And now it's all
no family dynamic. Just take the
No.
main one character that everybody likes and butt them up against everyone else.
And they nailed it. And then they had like just the right amount of like horror slash thing,
right.
But then the whole different like types of people all around. If you haven't seen Wednesday, I'd suggest checking it out. It was a good one. I liked it, but
it was good. I've watched like 3 or 4 episodes.
So my
I can't even. I totally forgot that came out this year.
You know, in hindsight now, you're so right. Disturbed. Like it was bad. It feels
no,
bad.
I don't feel like it was bad. I feel like I would still defend
It's not even memorable.
But it's not like
it wasn't memorable.
It was forgettable. And I enjoyed it in the moment, but certainly obviously my reaction of being like, holy crap, right, that came out this year.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So I'm going to name one. The one that I really loved was Andor, which is on Disney Plus.
Star Wars,
which was a Star Wars show that had no Jedi in it. It had no lightsabers in it. It had no fucking Darth Vader. It had no Skywalkers in it. There was like none of those things. It was just the world of coming up through that. And I feel like it made what the bad guys in Star Wars, right? Like God, why can't I remember the name of the
Sith,
the antagonists or whatever in Star Wars? But like, what it did is it made them actually scary because what it was like them trying to control.
Don't spoilers
no,
here.
No. It's just sort of a very the Empire, right? Yeah, like it. Before they had been sort of one note like characters, right?
Yeah.
Like they were based around characters, but this is about like almost like the bureaucracy of it, like taking over and how that would feel is like a crushing thing on the people who that's happening. And man, a slow start, I would say, maybe a couple episodes, maybe 2-3 episodes to get into it, but the overall like 10 episode arc, like man, by the end of it,
really
I
good.
was saying super good, super good.
That's good. I mean, I haven't seen it because I don't have Disney Plus, but it sounds like a good one. You know what? They talked about it in the chat, and I did watch Sandman this year. That was a good one. Have you seen the Sandman? On the Netflix.
No.
It came out and it was great. And so if you don't know Sandman, that's like
that's a comic book, right?
DC
it's based off
universe,
a comic book. Yep.
Right.
I did remember that.
And yeah, so true. It had a little bit of a slow start.
Okay.
But it really hooked you in, and then like it set up a good like next up. Stranger Things, I guess that did come out this year.
That's true. That came out this year. My other one was a big one. I had Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power, which came out on Amazon Prime this year, like the most expensive whatever thing ever. And I just thought I was captivated each time it came out at the same time as the new Game of Thrones show. And we watched it simultaneously back and forth, and I liked the Lord of the Rings version. Just, I think that sort of style of like fantasy, like high fantasy, and also really like realistic and cool characters that you can really get behind, and like a very fun mystery, just sort of outpaced what I thought HBO's Game of Thrones was. Just more realistic. And
I love what you said, but I think we need to acknowledge that there was a confession that just happened.
Yeah.
Talon has not ever seen Lord of the Rings.
Wow, really? Man, my children had not seen Lord of the Rings and had only seen a few of the others, so we watched them.
If you want to watch a guy walk a lot for a very, very minimal payoff, watch Lord of the Rings.
Minimal payoff? If you want to watch a kick-ass elf slide down a railing and then shoot an ogre straight down into the top of his head in like circa 2003 era CG graphics,
yeah,
those are your movies.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm dogging on it, but honestly, Lord of the Rings is one of those shows that I would always put on in the background when I would do something else. Like I watched it.
Oh, that's right.
And
I remember that.
But like it has that epic journey feel, and you really get into
the hero's journey.
I love it.
The
honestly,
classic
I do.
hero's journey.
But you're right. Get the director's cut. Watch the thing. Like it's just one of those feel good like epics.
Yeah.
It feels so epic in the ways that you go to it. And if you start really getting into the history of it, because I'm going to go off a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but I was reading some very specific things about when they had the battle at Helm's Deep, why certain decisions were made and why certain things happened, that if you watch it from just the cinematic experience, you're like, well, that guy's an idiot or mentally ill.
Sure.
But then you understand, like,
from the books,
what the history was behind.
Right.
Why did he do that? And why were you fighting in this area? Or why did he do this thing? And you're like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And I would never have known just watching the video. So
yeah, watching
anyways,
it normally.
coming on back in, it's like there's these little things that play to the books well to say like they couldn't tell the whole story because you can't cram that into a movie.
Totally.
But they did a great job of keeping true to like what was being on. So quick like thing, there's a guy that burns himself and kills himself, and you're just like, why would he do that? Because he was like so proud that he would not want his body found by the enemy in a certain way. And so it was like, oh, why does that happen?
Those are the details, right? You get from like
little
a
things
longer
like
book. So, and the last one that I want to say is exact opposite of what we were just talking about, which is Bluey. If you haven't watched Bluey,
what is Bluey?
Oh God, you don't know what Bluey
feel like
is.
I do know what it is. You just need to bring it up.
So Bluey is a cartoon out of Australia that is winning a ton of awards, and it's for parents and little kids, like little kids.
I feel like this is very niche Ryan right now.
Well, so God, I feel like I want to watch an episode. I'm gonna force you to watch an episode at some point.
So
they're award-winning episodes of stuff, and basically what it is it's a family of dogs that live in Australia, and they are there's two parents, and then there's two girls, Bluey.
Oh my lord, I don't even know.
This
Ryan.
is, dude. You have no. If you have not seen any Bluey before,
that's just so funny because I feel like I'm missing a thing right now, but like it just
there's nothing that I'm. It's not like it's not gory or
no,
it's not anything like that.
It's just normal.
Fully wholesome and amazing.
Wholesome Bluey.
Watch like the watch the award-winning, like it won like an Oscar or one whatever TV shows win with the planet, and it's just a great encapsulation of how parenting is, and it makes you feel bad every time you watch it because the parents in this are so amazing. They're like they just yes and everything from their children. And like, what would it look like if you just yes and everything that like 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds came up with? And that's almost like what every single episode is, but anyway, it is touching and dramatic and amazing, and anyone who enjoys animation or does anything, I feel like the stigma on it is what the hell is yes and yes anding is the stand-up improv thing, right? Where just anything anyone says, you don't counter against it, you just say yes, that is true, and here's what I'm going to add to it. And so that's how you do stand-up, improv. And that's what these parents do with their kids and their crazy stuff. So, man, the amount of disbelief that I'm getting from Adam Pocious is shocking.
There's no disbelief. It's actually more like, it's just funny. I haven't heard anything about it, and like
wow.
I guess I haven't.
And I feel like Bluey is in top I feel like it is in pop culture. It is a thing.
It is 2018 when it came out.
The third season, the first half just came out in 2022, but they release so much later because it's from Australia, and so they, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of where.
No, man, I'm forcing you. We're
pass.
watching an episode of this.
I will watch watch an episode of Bluey just because of you.
Yes, you will. And you will see the mightiness. Okay, and then. So I'm gonna do.
Wait, I just want one more series. One more
series. Oh man,
I know
okay.
Because now that we started talking, I remember.
Yeah, okay.
Is the Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix by Guillermo del Toro, and it came out, and it's a bunch of shorts that are maybe 20-30 minutes, and it was like a I guess a horror-esque kind of things.
Hard to see.
Yeah,
we were friends.
Yeah, she doesn't want to. Hey, you like dogs, so she should like Bluey. No, but that Cabinet of Curiosities, if you haven't seen it, there are some really good ones in there. Who has seen that? Anybody seen it? There was a couple episodes that do some really crazy things, super gory, super scary, but it's like
Guillermo del Toro. I like him.
But then there's a couple of them that are very like. It's in one bubbled story after another. Like none of the series go across it. It's a series, but they're very good.
Yeah, nice.
I think if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. So
Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yep, it's on Netflix. But there was this one. I got to tell you, episode not too much. Well, okay, it's a spoiler, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But there's one about an alien on there that just like nails.
Well, and sometimes I always think like with things like TV shows like Black Mirror, where each one is different. You're like, if you're gonna watch any of them, watch episode 7, right? Yeah. Because then you can say that because you don't have to watch all the way 1 through 6 to understand what's happening.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. So tech thing. I had the biggest tech thing. Of course, it had to be Stable Diffusion, GPT-3. These
Could
sort
you just
of like
say AI?
AI. It was the year of AI, and really, what it did was it brought me. I had been super into AI maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I feel like there was sort of a little bit of like a coming up of it. There was a ton of books that got written, and I was like, oh man. This is gonna be the thing. And then I feel like it sort of died off for a little bit. And man, this year it came roaring back with all the like DALL-E 2 and Stable Diffusion and GPT-3 and all of that stuff just becoming really cool things, not only to even just play with, but also incorporate into my own, working and life, which I did.
I'm 100% behind it because I would have said like, maybe some of the 3D printing things we were doing, but it wasn't super like the thing I was doing. I've just been doing throughout the years, and when AI hit, I think the moment we went back to one of our first AI things before we actually hit that moment, and I was like, hell yeah, like we were so giddy over like 1 or 2 AI generations.
Oh man, yeah.
Now I'm just like,
whatever.
AI me. I get them all day long. But I'm gonna tell you, out of all of the AIs, I'm actually most impressed with the text one.
Me too.
The text one is like my go-to now. I love it.
I mean, I feel like the illustration one is more impressive, like just saying I want to see Pikachu in a mech suit and getting that and getting just run a bunch of Pikachu in a mech suit. It feels pretty amazing. But then I feel like you get to a point where you're like, to what end am I getting these Pikachus with the mech suit, right? Whereas the GPT-3 one, you're like, I could see this being actually used for like things that I do in real life, things that I do. Like, why isn't everything that we ever read or ever hear anymore not specifically, amazing and generated?
Well, we're gonna have to play with GPT in a second, but I did wanted to throw out about the AI thing, since we're talking about AI.
Yeah.
Is there was something that you should know about, you should try, and I didn't get to try this yet. So there was a guy that said, just like you did. Yeah, it's fun, it's cool, but then they didn't know what to do next. So what they did was they would sketch without any kind of shading on a sheet of paper, like the general shape or a character.
Okay.
And then they would scan that, and they would run it as an image with what they wanted to do.
Sure.
And it would take that shape, and then would basically color it in and do all the things. So they were able to exactly create what they wanted.
Right.
And then use the AI to fill in and shade and create a style and do all the things.
Totally. Because I could see that you're like, I have a picture in my head of what I want it to look like. And if I could even just draw it out in like the most simplest shapes, but then keep refining what that is, then you're like, whatever I had in my head can now be on the page with like very little,
the guy had like
mechanical
3 iterations. It was like draw, then scan in and get the general first part, and then do the final, and then he would always get, and it was amazing. I was to the point where it's like, that's actually pretty cool.
I mean, that's cool, but again, like not as maybe everyday practical that of a thing that I would use.
So I think GPT is where it hits on. So
and we'll talk about things I'm looking forward to. Okay, so those are the tech things, right? Do we want to do? So I had a couple books. I don't know Adam. Okay,
go for it, man.
So
talk about it.
I'm just gonna do 2. So one is a science fiction book called Project Hail Mary, which is by Andy Weir, the guy who did the Mars book. So there was that movie with Matt Damon, that came out. The Martian. And this is his 3rd book, actually. He did one in between that wasn't
as good. I loved The Martian. So
yeah, and so this is the 3rd this is his 3rd book.
Yeah,
and man, just really good world building and characters. And I not only read it, but I gave it to then my son to read, because we have like a shared, books that we read. And so he read it and loved it. And then we got the audiobook and listened to it in the car with the entire family. And everyone loved it. And my Kathy is not necessarily sci-fi fan, so too huge.
Give a 1 or 2 sentence lead in to satiate what it might be about. Like, what are we talking about here?
It's based around one guy again.
Okay.
He is what's happened is the sun is getting slowly depleted and getting smaller, like energy taken away from it. And what that means is, even slowly when that happens, it's going to turn the Earth into like an ice age, basically.
So this is not about a star quarterback getting that final play and winning the Super Bowl.
the Hail Mary pass. No.
Okay. No, that sounds good. Okay, so science fiction in the future.
Yeah. And it's sort of one guy and how he's going through that and doing that. Anyway, that's a terrible description of it, but it's good. And then the only other one is, I don't read a lot of I'm in leadership, development and things like that as part of my job. But I don't read a lot of those books. But I read one this year called 4,000 Weeks, which is Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And basically what it is like the idea that we only have the thing is 4,000 weeks everyone lives. That's how many weeks we have in our entire lives. And so you have to kind of be precious about them. And what it's saying is, there's no sort of tips and tricks that can get you doing more things. You just have to come to the realization that your time is the only thing that matters is what makes you happy in doing of your time, right? Because there's always, there are tricks and trips for getting all your emails done, right? And the only thing that happens when you get all your emails done is you get more emails, right? That come on top of it. And so just coming to the realization that you're never going to get to the end of emails, right? You're never going to get to the end of projects. You're never going to be fulfilled in that way of like that. And so being like, what do I actually want to spend my time doing? And filling up that 4,000 weeks, which I thought was interesting.
I think those are two great books. I haven't read, but I think those are ones that I might think about.
Yeah. So
actually, that time management one, I find myself reading those kinds of books, and so
well, yeah.
I thought I was thinking of myself as far as reading, and I'm like I suck so bad because I don't read books.
Yeah.
But I read the crap out of stuff like.
Articles.
There's articles across the newspapers. Like I get the New York Times. Like I read a lot of like current events.
Sure.
But then I read leadership stuff or whatever those kind of things. But they're like white papers and research.
Oh, sure.
Not like a thing.
All of those books that I talked about and doing were all listened to through Audible or Libby or something like that. You can pro tip, rent audiobooks through your library and get them for free.
Yeah, I do that. If Matt DeCestro was watching right now, he would be like all up on that. Ground.news, huh?
I'm gonna check it out.
All right, sounds good. Good thing, sir.
So I wanted to go forward now. Things we are looking forward to in 2023. I want to hear from the chat also. Things sort of same types of things. What games are we looking forward to? What movies, TV, tech things, books? I don't have any books necessarily that I'm looking forward to. I usually get those in the moment. But game. Wait, do we have? Mm-hmm. Oh, forward to. Okay, so game. Do you know of any games?
Well, you go first.
Okay, so Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is supposed to be coming out. It's basically Breath of the Wild 2. And Disney now has Bluey on my screen. Seriously, Heather, like, don't be prejudiced against cartoons. Like, think about how you know, The Simpsons are great, right? Futurama is great. All of those things are great. Like, this is just great in a different way. Okay, so Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game. That Breath of the Wild game was like my favorite game, I think, of all time. It's top 3 at least. And this is the first sort of DLC, like meaningful next step for it. So I'm super excited.
You've always been a shill for Zeldas. So
I feel like they're good.
Fine.
And all of these, a big open world and everything, amazing. Starfield is supposed to come out this year. We don't know when. It said 2023. Starfield is. Do you know what Starfield is? Mm-hmm. So that's just the new, basically the new team that does Fallout, and so this is their brand new IP, all in space. Brand new engine, I think, for that. So maybe less jank.
They always promised that. How many times is it gonna glitch on my ass?
Well, but they always had the same engine. That was part of it. Is they always had the same engine. So new engine, and then Hades 2. That was more of a hope. Maybe Hades 2 will come out this year.
No, it was a hope.
It was a hope. They haven't said when it'll come out, but.
I was Calypso Protocol.
Yeah.
That's on the 27th of January. It's just right around the corner. That's
you can play that right now. It's already out. People have been playing it.
Is it on the 27th of December that it came out?
Yeah, maybe it was that. Because that's the Dead Space one, right?
Yeah, I thought that was on the 27th. What's coming out on the 27th of this month?
New Dead Space remake, right?
Oh, it was the Dead Space remake. Okay, so the remake. So Calypso Protocol came out technically 2022, but that's a game that I want to play. I haven't played yet. Dead Space was remade.
Yeah.
And so at first I was a little like,
what did you just played it?
But what I found, and as I did the research, one of the things they changed that I actually now kind of want to go play it with. Did you hear about this?
No.
Is that they made it an open world Dead Space. So in the old one, you would play a level, go to the little trolley thing, and then move to the next
How is that
section.
going to work?
Because what they did is they gave you can go in 0G.
Okay.
Like you could before. But in the original first version of it, what would happen is you'd have to like point at something and then you jump to it and then you land. Like you couldn't go and maneuver.
Right.
And then in the later versions you could. So they brought that to this version.
Okay, that's cool.
And now you can go outside and then come back.
Is that how they want you to play the game?
Yeah, because then you can have multiple paths to get your stuff.
Then,
and they built the world bigger.
Oh, okay.
And then the cool part, and this is what I liked about it, is they built it to where you get to sections and you have to decide if you want to keep life support on, or if you want to keep the lights on, or if you want to keep one of these things because you need power to do this other thing. So now you're negotiating saying, am I going to run around with this air pack and try to make it through, or do I want to like maybe keep my air and turn off the lights and make it scary?
Okay.
So
right.
I think there's and then it has same as the same beats.
Those are new. Those are like new gameplay features. Basically,
it's a remade game. They remade it, and it's not the same 100%. Like it's the same story, but new sections and new parts.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's cool. It's $60, right?
Yeah, and then I'm really looking forward to Half-Life 3.
Of course, man. My kid. So Trenton this year played Half-Life 2 and Fallout New Vegas. And I was like, man, good on, because we were talking about it and there was a Steam sale where Half-Life 2 was on sale for $2. And I was like, buy this game for $2, put it on the PC and play it. And he was like, all right, I'll try it. And man, his first playthrough of Half-Life 2 was pretty fun to hear him talk about and like get excited about and ask me about and stuff. And then he played through all like the episodes that came afterwards and stuff. It was great. He didn't like Fallout New Vegas as much. He was like, I wish it was more directed. He wanted it less open world. He was having a hard time like navigating in that world.
Movies.
Anyway.
What movies are around the corner?
Movies. Okay, so I had a couple. One was the Super Mario Brothers movie. I am looking forward to. I feel like good. I've been down on it. I mostly am interested in it to see it with the children because I was like, I want to see what their reaction. It's like I want to see what people who have the connection to Mario that my children have their reaction to the movie. And so I think it's gonna be fun.
So let's just because we're talking about nostalgic moment as we talk about Mario. I remember sitting in this kid's living room for the very first time, like playing Mario.
Nice.
And just seeing it and then my brain being like, this is gonna be like something I love to do, right. And I want one of those systems, and that's what got me. Then I had to get a Game Boy because my parents would never get that. My parents used to rent the Nintendo.
Yeah, I remember renting it for sleepovers and birthdays. We would go down to the old Blockbuster and rent a Super Nintendo or something for a little bit.
Mommy, Daddy, can we buy one?
Play Mortal Kombat, and you'd bring it in like a suitcase.
It was like the hard little case. You get it from Blockbuster.
Totally, it was like a Pelican case.
It was a good time. different times.
Oh man.
All right, so
okay, and then let's see. So Super Mario Brothers movie. I also Across the Spider-Verse is coming out, which is the next Spider-Verse movie, which I think is just that movie was one of my favorite movies of the year, animated movie, Into the Spider-Verse. And then the other one was Oppenheimer. Have you heard of this?
Yeah. I heard it was really good. Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, so I feel like Christopher Nolan can be a little hit and miss. I'm not always a super huge fan of all of his directorial, movies. But I feel like Oppenheimer, that's just like an interesting part of, the world history that I feel like he will do a good job at, if I had to guess.
I think those are great ones. I don't have much to throw into the hat of next year's movies. I think there's the Quantum Mania. I'm not really super
Ant-Man, right?
I'm not super I've fallen off the whole Marvel bus, to be completely honest with you. It's it's not a thing that
I feel like I'm still watching because Disney Plus is all Marvel, right? And so we've watched all of those Mandalorian and all of that stuff, all of the that's next year, all of those type of things, and those were great. It was those are fun. They're sometimes forgettable, but. So I feel like even though I've watched all of those, I'm not necessarily all that excited for it.
So we got some Tenet. You were talking about that in the
Tenet,
chat,
right,
in 1915. I heard 1915 was decent. Was it not good?
Was it 1915? 1914? I don't know.
It was something like that, but yeah.
And really that runs into the TV that I'm looking forward to next year. One of them, The Last of Us, which premieres Sunday, comes out this week. Anyway, Last of Us on HBO, big premiere marquee TV video game show.
Oh yeah, because I remember you play
Last of Us, right?
Before we go, I wanted to do one movie that I forgot to mention.
Okay.
Because I just watched it, is Dune 2. And that and that could be something that
totally
you can go
Dune
in
2.
Because I was big on the Dune and I actually liked it. There's a lot of like
your
back and
brother wasn't your brother super into Dune
He is.
books?
He's read the like ridiculous amount of series, and apparently he was telling me, quick side note, that the original writer of Dune, I don't know the name of the guy, I should know it right now. His like when he passed away, his son took over writing some of the later and is actually more like those were considered some better stories. He was saying it was really Frank Herbert. That's right.
I will be honest that I did not necessarily love the Dune book that I read.
Did you? Okay, so which one did you? The original?
Original Dune.
It's a lot of world building. It's something really.
It's a lot of like politics, you know. And even when Kathy watched the movie, she was like, "This is a lot of politics." I was like, "You don't even know, man." The book is like, whoa. Well, it is awful. It's fine, and that's fine. You know,
but if you
like
watch the books and the later ones, the son reads, and this is just based off of is like he takes each book and they're like, "We're gonna do these families in this book."
Yeah,
and they go through
everything.
That's cool.
It's
It's real world building.
Yeah,
but just the quick thing on the Dune is that I watched it and I just felt like it was a good rendition, and then I watched the original movie right after watching the new one. Again, I had watched the Dune before, and I just want to see where the story goes. I'm pretty excited. I think they did it like super serious and just straightforward. Not a lot of character development in the first one. A little bit.
I feel like there wasn't that much in the books, really. Like, it's so much just sort of jockeying for power in the entire... That's all anyone cares about of anything. And you're just like, that's everyone's motivation for everything that they do. So I don't even need to care about any of these people. They're just factions.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, I'm super stoked about Dune because that was probably the only thing that I like really am excited about.
Yeah.
Like,
that's just a cool... It was... The first Dune was a very cool movie, so I'm just excited.
All right, so you like going back to the TV. I'm not surprised you're into The Mandalorian.
Well, and I wasn't even, there's I almost took that as like whatever the next season of The Mandalorian is. There's all those Disney Plus second seasons are coming up, right?
Right.
Loki, the second season of Loki is coming up. There's a bunch of like seconds of everyone, which like I'm into. Those are fun. We do a thing in my house where on Fridays we eat pizza and we watch whatever like garbagey TV, or whatever Disney Plus thing is on. So
I'm excited for Witcher 3 coming out.
Is it going to be did you follow any of that drama around the actor that plays the Witcher, right? Mm-hmm. And now he's gone. Do
you know why?
Henry Cavill something.
Do you know why?
Yeah, because he was like, I'm gonna do Superman and be super into Superman, and then they fired him from Superman as well.
So that's the story of the media pushing him. But no, there's a real thing. Is that he didn't
like the direction of the show.
Witcher is dead to you. So here's the deal. I'm just gonna let it out so you understand. Is that he is huge into the books and into the story.
Right.
And so he was like, you guys are bastardizing the story, and based off of what we originally discussed is that you're going this other direction than what it should have been. And so then when he was going to the Superman, he did not, I don't know what that story is, but he got the whole thing to do Warhammer on Amazon, the entire universe. And so if you know what Warhammer is, it's the game where you have the little pewter figures that you paint and you do things. Yeah. It's really big on 3D printing.
Well, and there's a ton of Warhammer video games too.
Yeah. So I'm like, I appreciate his love of this because he went to talk about the Warhammer universe he's going to create, and he's like, I appreciate being able to get this kind of thing, and he's going to respect it, and he throws out a thing about to his fans on how he's going to do it right. And so it's like he is this big yoke dude that's like supposed to be cool, and he is cool, but he's like also plays the things that like normal people do.
Yeah.
So like
he like builds his own PC, right, and plays video games. And
he's not some big Chad out there just trying to be a dick about it. So like I like the guy because he has that kind of like he loves the past. There was like certain things where he almost missed being in Superman because he was playing a game or something and he didn't answer the phone. So anyways,
well, and I heard they sort of screwed him over too because they went, the studio said, hey, go out and do this announcement that you're super excited about playing Superman, because he had quit The Witcher and so he was like, okay, yeah, I'm super into doing the thing. And then they were like, wait, we're gonna have this new director sort of take over it. The guy who did Suicide Squad and did all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah,
he's taking over the DC universe, and he came in and was like, nope. Out. We're doing younger Superman, or we're doing kid Superman. And so he was like, I look like a freaking idiot. I went out there, you told me to go out there, and then you hired a new person and he threw me on my butt. Like, now I look like a chump, and that's bad.
Yeah, that is bad.
Oh yeah, and then there was all the Black Adam stuff with like The Rock, because The Rock wanted him to play in it, and so then he did some stupid like end scene in Black Adam. Just for The Rock, just so that they could tie it into the Superman that was coming up, and now he's freaking out as Superman,
but
and he's out as all of this. Ugh.
Yeah, Green Lantern show. Well, James Gunn though, wasn't he? He's the one that did the whole Guardians. He kicked that off. So I mean,
and all those those later Suicide Squad movies were fun. Like I like those. James Gunn is a good director. Like I think he would do well in the DC universe. It's just he had to clean house a little and sort of. Carvel, I can't remember his name.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, like he just sort of came up with a short stick, which sucks.
But he got the Warhammer universe. He's good. He has money.
He's got Warhammer.
He has money. He has muscle,
Warhammer.
and he has ladies, and he has Warhammer.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna be fine.
He's okay. He's okay.
Then the only other thing was there's a show called Gen V, which Kathy showed to me, which is sort of. Do you ever watch the show on Amazon Prime about the superheroes that's super violent and gory, The Boys?
Oh, yeah, The Boys.
So this is it's called Gen V, and it's supposed to be sort of a high school for superheroes, and it's also in that same vein of The Boys, which is just very violent and gritty, but also which like teenagers and all of that sort of drama. Anyway, I heard some good buzz about it.
Well, those are all good. So
ooh, the final thing, everyone, what I wanted to show was what are we looking forward to in 2023 for tech? And CES just happened and things like that. But the thing that I wanted to talk about was someone put out a Reddit post that showed here's all of the ways that little companies, companies you never even heard of, right? Like there's a million. Here's how some of them are using AI in their little tiny itty bitty mini startups that they've started using ChatGPT or Stable Diffusion or things like that, right?
There's a lot of scrolling here.
And what
because there's a billion of them.
Because there's a billion, right? And so if you use these categories on the side, you could see like, here's how they're using it. And what I thought was, I bet 2022 is going to be the year the AI like came back out.
Oh, okay, 2022. Okay,
was when it sort of came back out, right? Reintroduce all these cool like platforms. I think 2023 is the year that people start actually building it into things that we try to use and think are neat, right? So here's already a bunch of things that do that, and they're trying to sort of figure it out, right? Like what is the interesting, what could people actually use? And so I was just clicking on some of these. I just played around with some of, and some of them are like, you have to pay for it, right? That makes sense. But it was kind of just neat. Maybe we could put this in the chat or something. The link to this, or in the show notes or something. But I just thought, man, already it hasn't been out for that long, right? And the API to use all of these things, and already there's so many different awesome, creative, interesting ways to use this stuff and play with it, and people are trying it so much. It's just like, now that it is out there, I feel like it's next year is going to be the year when we actually see it.
When we see it all
more
implemented.
more than like, because you could just introduce something, right? But the moment you introduce it, then it spews out into all the different creative minds that are out there and how they want to use it and how specific things they think it would be cool for. And I just feel like next year's, because the iteration is so fast, right? We saw it happen, just how quickly people took it and tried so many new things, that I feel like it's not going to take more than a year or two to start seeing crazy, cool, interesting projects coming out.
I think it is, and it's going to be interesting. Like, the only thing that I'm kind of like hating is like we're in this cool moment right now where we get to use it. It's a little in the wild, and it's not super popularized, but it's getting there like virally. Yep. What was his the dude that has Mint Mobile? He's Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds used Chat GPT to make a commercial, and
nice.
He's like, and he said, write a commercial like he was himself, and he read it, and then he was like, that's pretty scary because of how that came together. So
nice.
We'll see if so one thing I did want to do is I did want to talk a little bit, because we're going to transition to Chat GPT. We talked about board games. I think maybe we should just do a quick heads up on what our board games, and then
we could save that till next time if we want to.
I mean, we told you what the two board games were,
That's true.
But we can actually show them in reality. Like I think they were both great.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's the thing: is there's a couple things we want to talk about with GPT, and you have something we're going to show off in a little bit, right? What was it? Google.
Oh yeah, we don't have. I mean, if we're already running pretty late here. I feel like we're already 2 hours.
We had some good vamping about some of the different things here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just do a quick little piece of Reddit-ing. Gotta celebrate your wins when you get these. And so we'll talk about something that was kind of funny that I did on Reddit the other day with Chat GPT.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do something. I wanted to show you something, Ryan.
Okay.
And so you don't know what I'm gonna
nice.
show you. So I think it's kind of cool that we could talk about it.
Cool.
But one of the things is, and let's just go to full screen here.
There we go.
Is that there's a Chat GPT thread that's on Reddit, and so I jumped into it. And one of the things is a lot of people put prompts, and then you get to see how ChatGPT responded.
Sure.
And then you don't have to have too much of an investment in it. So, anyways, I'm on this thing, and this guy's like, ChatGPT just got me a date, and I was like,
yeah, and like I could see that, right? Like somebody being like, just what would somebody want to hear?
And I don't want to dox this guy, which I feel like I'm doing at this point, but it was innocent. The guy goes down there and he puts a thing, and he said, hey, I love spending time with my girlfriend, da 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 da, and so it spits out a pretty cheesy love poem.
Okay.
And so I figured, what not better way to respond to somebody that got a date with GPT than just to say, hey, Chat GPT. And so what I did was I said prompt, write an eye-rolling, sarcastic Reddit response to a guy that used ChatGPT to write a love poem for his girlfriend.
Nice.
And I love the response, and here's how it said it. So
wait, scroll it up so they can see it in the.
You can't see.
Okay, there we go.
We'll just go a little bit smaller here.
There we go.
Perfect. But I'm gonna just read it.
Yeah.
Wow, how original. I'm sure your girlfriend will be absolutely thrilled to receive a love poem written by a computer. I mean, there's nothing more romantic than a machine spitting out bunches of cliches and generic phrases. I'm sure she'll be swooning over that thought of and the effort you put into the pre-trained language model to express your feelings. Way to go, Romeo.
It's good. It's good. It's like a good sarcastic response, right?
So it was a burn, and so I honestly post a lot of crap on Reddit, and I'll get like 2 upvotes or whatever, and then it started getting a little bit popular, and then somebody gave me a gold, and then they gave me like the diamond, which gives you like all that stuff. So I was like, all right, well, what Reddit does is you have to kind of know the like how to respond. So if you get an award on Reddit, the expectation is you thank them that you got the reward. So I was like, I can't go in there and thank it. So I was like, all right.
Right, yeah, because people do that, right? Their stuff blows up in some way, and then they come back in and they add an edit. And they're like, oh, rest in peace, my inbox or whatever, right?
And so then I said, prompt GPT to thank Reddit for upvotes and awards in the tone of a Redditor.
Okay.
And so, So then it
I
goes.
can't believe it didn't say "Rest in peace, my inbox." I feel like that's really missing.
Well,
out on what
the
you
first
heard.
thing is like, I want to thank you, Reddit community, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It's a pleasure to receive recognition, especially from such a distinguished group of internet users /s.
Yeah, see, that's good,
I
right?
was like,
Because yeah,
and people were like, they're like, you put that in there. I was like, no, I just like, I didn't even say it in here, so I just left it all as Chat GPT.
yeah, because /s means you're being sarcastic, right? Like,
And then at the end it was like, thanks Redditors, you're the best, except for the trolls and spammers. Let's not focus on them.
Yeah.
So just the fact, because you got to think about this, if this is trained on data from 2021,
yeah,
that it knows some Reddit, so it's able to pull that kind of Reddit tone out and just go.
Totally,
I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious.
I feel like
it was
that
just one of those moments. That was fun.
that feels like a perfect Reddit tone, right? Like it nails the tone of all of especially when because if it goes, oh, I'm nailing the tone of some far off thing that I don't know anything about, I just have to guess. But being in Reddit and seeing comments and being like, oh, okay, yeah, it is getting the tone pretty well. I could absolutely see that as being a comment that I would write or read.
Okay, so we're gonna just do one experiment here. Last time we saw this, I tried this the other night, so I'm gonna try this fresh without showing you what I did, and let's see what it can do in real time. Okay. So the other day we did language. We've done those kind of things before. I was like, how close can this get on the programming side? And so what we're gonna write is a prompt to make some version of the start of something that has HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in it. And so let me just tell you my experience the other day. I got a little particular. I wrote out a very specific description of what I was hoping to see, and it spit out a very functional working code of exactly what I was hoping it would do.
Cool.
Enough that like you still had to like work it, but it worked out of the box. So we're gonna try that again today and see what we can come up with. So I'm gonna say
a program.
Yeah. So like you can say like a web app. So a web app is just those three kind of things, but you can do a lot of different languages aside from what I'm gonna write right now. So I'm gonna say, write a web app that uses, and then this is where I'm gonna put the language that I want to use, CSS.
I'm halfway there, disturbed.
And JavaScript. And okay, so now we're gonna say what do we want this program to do, this web app to do. So for the sake of the show, we gotta let this GPT will only write so much, and then we can tell it to continue, so we can get this whole code here.
Yeah, okay.
So we can't make this we can't say go remake Facebook and all the pieces to it. So we're gonna do like an element of a website that you might need to do. So we'll say this web app, I'll put web app, should have a text input, okay, that accepts characters.
You have to be that specific?
Well, we're gonna write it out because I want to be very specific here. That accepts characters.
Okay.
Then you will have two sliders. One that changes size.
Changes size of what?
Size of the text. And the other that changes the color. Let's see, what else would we want to do? That's not a slider. Then you could say okay, add a reset button.
Add a button that makes a fart sound.
Oh, okay. Add a button that makes us. Am I gonna? Is that too?
No.
Okay.
Makes a fart sound.
All right. Let's try this. And resets.
That's what I expected.
The text. Okay. All right. Are we ready for this? We think this is gonna work. Let's see if we can get it to work.
I have not done anything like this.
Okay. So we're gonna see. Okay, so right now what we're seeing is this is the HTML code it's going to write. So it's saying that we're going to put a text input, and now it's building the sliders. So
it's already done.
Look at there's a fart button.
Fart button. There's
and
a
the
fart
reset
button.
button.
And the reset
okay,
button.
so now it's going on to the styles. So we got the basic structure.
It's nice that it's doing it so slow for our human brains.
And then
I'm sure it's already done.
I think it's doing it in real time.
Oh, it's doing it
because that's what they were saying is that they were having a hard time getting the stop generating button in there because of how it does this. So it's probably gonna stop in just a second here. And I don't, because when it writes the JavaScript, this is where it gets a little dicey.
It's gonna get longer.
Look, there's your fart button.
There's the fart button.
But the only thing is I don't know where it's
get element by ID fart button.
So it's adding listeners. Essentially, like it has to wait for a click to happen. So do that. But I don't know where we're
when
gonna
it gets to the end of this, you just say keep going.
Yeah, I'll just say please finish the JavaScript or something.
Okay.
Oh, so it says, or you can use. So it didn't give us the fart sound. Play fart sound. You have to use HTML5. So I'll say finish.
Find me fart sound.
Finish the JavaScript because I feel like it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's gonna.
Wow.
So then,
because you're not using the playground. You're just using the chat GPT-3 interface.
And because what this does, and you'll see off the left-hand side, is it saves your searches. And so you can then go back to these and ask it follow-up questions and do all these things. So the fart sound, we'd have to go... what? It has fart.mp3, but we have to download a fart on side.
No.
So you'll need to have an audio file named in the same directory of your file. Okay, in order to have that using the web API, you can use any other sound like an og or a wave. Okay, so up to this point, you still need to know how to compile some of this. And one of the things that it did
I wouldn't know what to do with this.
Well, in this case, what we'll also have to do is, let me say, like, I'll just do a follow-up. What is the...
No, it's not.
What is the format, or let's see here. Write a basic HTML starter page.
Okay.
And so what this will do is just give me the infrastructure I need to put in there. So it's going to put like, there we go. So doc type, HTML, some of these like little things that we're going to need to do. And I know a few things that I want to do.
Hello,
I just didn't,
world.
Yeah, it's helpful. So that's it. That's a basic page here.
Good night.
Good night, Heather. Thanks for checking out the coding side of this as long as you did.
Adam's just losing everyone with this code.
It's going to be amazing when you see this.
Yeah, I'm excited actually because I mean, yeah, like you said, you still need to know a little bit about this, obviously.
So, okay, this is what we're going to do.
It doesn't just like make it doesn't just open up a web browser and bring you your code to you.
Essentially, it does.
Essentially, it does.
Watch. So we'll call this fart text.html is what we just created.
Okay.
So I'm opening a text document, right? And I'm gonna edit it in my Notepad++. If you don't like Notepad++,
get off the stream.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. We're building our web page. So the first thing I'm gonna do is here's the basics of a web page. So I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna just drop it into here. Okay. Cool. The next bit I know I need to do is the styles. So this is what makes it look like it needs to. I know this part, so I have to create a quick style tag here. And then I have to close that style tag. So I'm going to do that. So don't worry about that. It didn't add that. And if I would have said write it in a complete page, it would have worked. So that throws our little CSS in the right place. Now, the other thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to do the same thing with the JavaScript. Or I'm going to grab the div. We'll grab this. And that's going to replace all of this text. All right. There's our basics.
Really putting yourself on the line here if this doesn't work.
Yeah, well, and see what what I need to make sure is I'm grabbing the right thing. So this looks like it gives the whole part. Let me just make sure it does. Yep. So JavaScript, and where does it bring back up? So it started it over, right? Would you agree? Like, okay,
Yeah,
there's
I
text
think so.
input, text input. So I'm going to grab this whole bottom part here, right? And at the very bottom of your div, we're going to do something called script. So the only thing that I added was the word script and the word style, and we'll see how this works. Okay.
Okay.
And I spelled everything right? Drop that in there. Hit save, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it. So, all right, there's our web page.
Okay, enter the text.
And so we'll put in AI rules.
Oh, and then it writes it down there. Great.
Okay, so text size should be adjustable by this.
Wow, amazing.
Text color should be adjusted by this.
Okay, all right. Yep, it's just like a slider there.
Now we would have to get a fart sound.
Ah.
So here's the thing. Let's just do this.
Wait, I wanted the fart sound and the reset in the same button.
So we could probably go ask it for that. So we'll say like find a fart MP3.
Should it do that in ChatGPT?
You think it should?
Yeah. See if it finds it.
All right. Let's say, can you find a URL with a fart MP3?
Yep.
Is that what you're thinking?
Maybe separate fart and. Oh
yeah, because I was thinking it would pull a one from the thing.
Right, because it can't go to the internet.
All right, let's do this. Do fart sound, MP3.
Fart sound.
There should be one smart sound that you can get like on the first thing, right?
Perfect.
There you go. And an MP3. Let's what nasty ad.
What horrible. Okay, fart. Yay.
Well, this is perfect. I'll just have to drop it, save it as the desktop, and that should be it. Okay, that should all. Let me refresh.
Nice.
Yes! GPT for the win!
You did. And then reset. Oh, it just has a random fart button.
Tell me you're not impressed, Ryan.
It feels pretty good. Like,
come on.
What would you use that for? Like, could you
build a whole program.
Like,
you could do all the things you need. Like, that is the craziness of this. Because I was doing database and CSS and like all kinds of different languages that I don't even know.
Yeah. It's funny that I could absolutely see designer like doing the exact same thing that everybody else says they use all of these other AI things, right? Which is to sort of like get them started in a direction, and then you're like, yeah, I'll take it from here. Right?
Well, and that's the gem of this. And so here's another thing. So like, let's say you didn't know what something did in here. So for instance, say it's this little chunk, and like you're a coder and you're trying to figure out somebody else's thing. Oh wait, by the way, it gave you host of where you could have gone. So they still helped you. Yeah. So if you could say, explain what is happening with this code. Okay. So then you can pull that out.
Can I just say explain?
Probably.
Okay.
So then it tells you all the parts of what that code is going to do, and it breaks it down by the pieces. So if you were just like, I'm stupid, but I want to learn it.
Yeah.
Like it helps teach you these things. So you can like get something that you don't understand, and it's going to go out and it's going to help you. So put this into any language or anything that you could do. Some guy went in and recreated ChatGPT as called free GPT and said, I'm going to make the free alternative that plugs into its API using itself to build itself. And it worked. He couldn't go back and forth. So anyways, it's just crazy, super meta, but like I've been using it for a lot of other things. Like I've been using it to like write ideas. Like you saw, I'd say, give me a topical outline.
Oh yeah.
And then I dive deeper.
I thought that was very cool.
And so you can start
getting the outline of things. I feel like is so important for starting stuff out.
And you can dive it down at different levels.
Yeah.
So
okay, ask it do from what the meaning of life, and see if it does 42. Or like, should we prompt it? Should we say like, is 42 the meaning of life?
What is the significance of the number 42? And I gotta make sure I spell significance right.
Anything? Yeah.
Oh, so it just goes into...
It knew it.
It goes into there.
Yeah. Try doing it. Just ask it what the meaning of life is.
Okay, I gotta do a new chat for it. It's gonna go. It's gonna go.
Pause for a second.
It's like, but I think the cool thing is how you can also then throw the different voice types on it and angles. So here's the thing I did is like I wrote a description of like an email or something, and then I threw it in there. It's like, hey, make this really professional. How I want to say that, and then it gave me some like ways, and then I was like, actually take it down like I'm just talking to a peer. And then hey man, what's going on? Instead of like, I'd like to show you this thing. And so I don't want to get too reliant on it.
I don't
still thought it was pretty cool though. So
I use it a bunch. I use it for like, I'll write something and then be like, and I'll just put it in and be like, make this clearer. And it just sort of like moves words around and adds little extra words to it, and you're like, yeah, that is better. And then I take that and then do it out. Like I'm such a like I use it so practically in that sense. Like somebody, maybe I told the story, but somebody had like a, hey, we're signing everyone's like birthday card, or no, he was getting married. We're gonna write all a little whatever you want to say for him and his thing. And I went on to ChatGPT and I was like, what would somebody write for their friend this name in for a card for their wedding? And it gave me a bunch, and I sort of moved it around a little, and I was like, that's good.
See,
I don't want to spend my time thinking
so as long
about
as we
it.
use it as a tool, I think this is crazier. This is gonna change where we head in the future. But
so that seems like a cool 2023 thing, right?
See, I'm glad I got to show you that because like you didn't like you
well, I knew that it did stuff like that, right?
Sure.
Because I knew that because it had it in there, but I had never seen like an actual thing get built.
I want to do it again. Let me hear it.
It's good.
Heather missed the fart sound, so
she's gonna have to watch the VOD. It's fun.
Because one of the things that I did before, when I was trying one of these, I asked to do some sliders on a different thing, and it put sliders on things you wouldn't think to put sliders on, and I can't remember what it was. It was something like change this, like it wasn't the size, it was like orientation or something. I mean, it was just a weird thing, and it was like they still made a slider do the thing, and I was like, okay, that's
all right.
interesting. So.
It's like no human being would make a slider do that.
No, but I was like, all right, this is gonna be interesting, because the future that I say is it's gonna like, there's a word and I can't say it out of my mouth, but I can see it written out. Obfuscate. Basically, it's you are not going to know the code that drives the thing you're doing, because we're going to ask the thing to write that code for us.
Sure. And
it's going to do it. It's going to spit it out, and we're going to make a useful thing.
Yeah.
But when it breaks or something doesn't happen, we're not going to know how to fix that
Well,
thing.
but don't you think you would still need just like what you did right here, right? You need to know how to like bring it together and what to be like, no, that's
right
not working.
Now,
so like go in and take that part out. Oh,
but I'm saying, as this develops and
right.
it becomes to the point it's so super awesome that you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna lose what it takes to get there.
That's true.
And then we're gonna be messed.
Yeah, especially because they're like black boxes, right? Because they don't. Nobody knows how the AI is like coming to that conclusion necessarily. Like that's that part.
We got. Yeah, it is gonna be AI.
Of course.
It always goes to.
It always comes back to that.
And so before it goes too philosophical.
That always
happens. We want you to stick around. We have 30 more minutes, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna play High on Life. If you are not familiar with this game, you got to check us out. So what we're doing is we're doing a new thing. We're stopping the stream just for a second, and then we're gonna spin it back up, and we're gonna play the game. So join us in just a second for High on Life. If you don't know what that is, stick around because it's actually pretty amazing.
Totally. And thanks for watching the Adam and Ryan show so
Absolutely.
far.
We're gonna finish out with our sweet game. See you in a second.
Okay. I'm growing more and more